We're talking with the one and only Dave Hyde. What's your take on the Mike McDaniel hire and some of the hires he's made?
I hope you don't have to be the dictator coach. He is the opposite of Brian Flores, just as Flores was the opposite of Adam Gase. It's the game the Dolphins have played for the last 20 years, pretty much. Can he make it? We'll sit here and I'm done prejudging coaches, right?
Yeah, it's impossible.
Right? I mean, how many times have we done this? Oh, look at the hires he's made. He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
It does seem like it's dissipating a little bit, and some of the restrictions and the parameters, the guidelines that people are operating under. I don't know how it is in other states, but Florida was, let them bleed Ron DeSantis.
I don't know if that's...
He is to governing what Steve Smoger was to refereeing boxing matches. Old double S out of New Jersey there, Smoger. You guys would know him if you saw him, Smoger. And he was a fabled New Jersey referee mostly, but became internationally known. He would just let two guys, they could have their skulls crushed in, but with a sledgehammer in the third round, bleeding like a sieve. And he go, okay, guys, let's go. I'll let you know when we're going to stop it. So let's keep fighting. It was old Ronnie Deeman, the governor here in Florida.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Friday, where we originate from here on Ion Channel in South Florida, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. The rest of the country is taking one on the chin while we're basking in the sunshine and the glorious weather that we're experiencing here in South Florida. Looking forward to another great day. Tough decisions you have to make. I mean, do you go have lunch by the water? Do you just sit on the beach all day? Maybe make your way to a racetrack? Why does that appeal to me so much, Mike Lubitz? How are you, Lubie? Good to have you with us here on a Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday, brought to you by the great people at Gulfstream Park. They're having a terrific meet at Gulfstream Park. The championship meet is living up to all of its billing and expectations and only figures to get better as the 3-year-old campaign comes into focus and people start getting their charges ready for the Kentucky Derby in that first Saturday in May, which is as wide open, Lubie. Are you ready for this? The Kentucky Derby possibilities seem to be as wide open as the NCAA basketball tournament is going to be, where nobody really can zero in and say definitively, you know what, those guys have the best shot. I don't know. I mean, I'm heading out there March 17th, Las Vegas, my first venture. Bucket list situation for a sports fan. Everybody's been telling me my whole life, you got to go to Vegas for the first week of the final of the NCAA tournament. And I'm like, okay, it sounds good. I mean, I love atmospheres. I love when people are yelling and screaming. I love degeneracy. And it's nice to see college basketball getting this type of attention. And when you do get into it, and as you know, Lubie, and we've said this forever, you put $5 on a game, it makes all the difference in the world. It doesn't matter how little that $5 might mean to you. All of a sudden, every evil force inside your body comes to the surface if your team is losing with seconds to go in the ballgame, right? You become inherently racist. You become unreasonable, irrational, violent, even in some cases, right? I mean, there's always a guy. I love the picture of the guy when he throws the program against the screen there when he's suffered a tough beat in racing. And I would imagine it gets pretty insane when people get nipped at the buzzer in basketball betting ventures and a zillion ways to bet this thing. I don't know. Do they have in-game betting inside casinos, or is that only by phone application? What do you think? I mean, can you run to the window in the middle of the game and go, I think he's going to miss this free throw. Hey, Joe. You know, I mean, and you're screaming to get a bet down. Is that the way it goes? Because, yeah.
That'd be my concern, because talking to the professor, he's like, it's a blast, but the problem is it's super hectic. Like, if you don't get your bets in early, a lot of the time in the middle of the day, you know, when you have those games,
you
can't. But I'm like, well, what about the apps? He's like, well, I haven't been there since the apps have been instituted. So that's what I was going to ask you, is if the apps are what people are using, then that seems a lot easier than trying to go to the window in a freaking line of 30 people when the game's about to start in 5 minutes. 10 minutes.
Well, and it's amateur hour. I mean, this happens on big race days when they have, say, the Florida Derby, and all of a sudden let's say there are 20,000 people at Gulfstream Park for the Florida Derby. Of those 20,000, at least 5 probably never went to a racetrack before. And so they're up there at the window, and they're holding up the line for the degenerate slobs that know exactly what it is that they want to bet. Now at the racetracks, they have self-betting machines. One thing they don't have in Las Vegas, I have never seen one, and I would imagine there's some kind of legality that prohibits this. Maybe it's a union thing, but with people that work behind the so-called cage or the windows, I'm not sure that they would have a union that would be that strong that would prohibit self-betting machines from being in existence in Las Vegas. Now, they do have them in Atlantic City and other casino destinations I've been to. You can go and punch your own horse bets, which would be a real convenience. This is my big fear, Lubie. I have a little bit of trepidation about going out there for this because I'll bet a couple of basketball games as long as I'm out there for the tournament. And there's a great story online here today on CBS Sportsline. I would imagine it's circulating elsewhere about some guy that bet $1.10, $1.10, not 110, $1.10 on a 23-team basketball parlay. I guess this was either yesterday or the day before. A 23-team parlay at $1.10, hit all 23 games.
Hit all 23.
Hit all 23 games and got back $532,000.
I find it hard to believe he hit all 23.
What kind of lunatic is betting a 23-team parlay anyway? But I guess at $1, why not? I've seen this before where, young guys especially are taking a shot on something absurd because it doesn't matter. The insurmountable and ridiculously oppressive odds that are working against you in a 2-team parlay are tough enough to contend with. How many times have you hit one game and lost the other? Some fluke play at the end of the game, especially betting football, right? Where, some meaningless touchdown happens at the end of the game. You had parlayed a side in the over, and the next thing you know, you're a fried egg, my friend, that just fell on the floor before you even got it on your plate. Now you got to start from scratch. And plus, you're out the price of the egg. In this case, 23 teams. I have some of it here. I have to twist my head here a little bit. Started with Yale on the money line, minus 160.
Oh, my God.
And the rest of them seem to be point spread bets. Yale, Toledo, Ohio, Tennessee. What else? Akron. I mean, whoever this was a crazy person.
Yeah,
Some lunatic. Insane. Somebody probably found like a voucher on the floor for $1.10 and went up to the window and said, what can I do with this? And the guy laughingly said, why don't you play a 23-team parlay?
Yeah, exactly.
They're carrying the ticket right around in a body bag after putting that one up. 23 teams. Can you imagine? One team, one game goes the other way, and even if you won the other 22, you lose your money, your $1.10.
Yeah, I mean it's $1, so who cares? But
imagine taking a $1.10 bet though in some casino to have to pay out $532,000.
That's nuts.
Wouldn't you just decline that bet and say, you know what, it's not worth the chance that you might hit it?
Even if they lose, if the house wins, what do you win?
The house wins $1.10.
Like.
Now, if they did this all day, took 23-team parlays, let's say how many they would have to take 532,000 of them to break even if one person hit. So you're thinking, is there? I mean, the odds are larger than 532,000 to 1, but nonetheless, I mean, what casino in their right mind is taking a $1 bet that they'd have to pay out 532,000 on? I mean, if the guy's going to bet 1,000 and lose it, then you're probably doing it, but then they would have owed the guy what, like 53 million?
Millions.
I can't even do the math enough to do it. All of a sudden, the guy becomes the richest man in the world. This was a guy that was probably homeless and sleeping on the strip there. And one of those people that was walking around naked with just a blanket around them, that you saw in the morning. And like I said, I have great empathy for these people, so I'm hoping it was something like that, and not some Sharpie that just. Who's betting $1.10? $1.10 on a 23-team parlay. You would have to think some teenager, no?
Yeah, like I would at least put up $20. Like again, to get to 23 teams is utterly insane.
23 teams.
What 23 teams? Like how many games?
You have to hit 23 games on the same night.
Like how can you know about all those games? Like you're just guessing.
Obviously, it's luck, but I mean, maybe this guy's a shrewd expert and realizes that hey, the less I bet to put me in a position to win the most is the way that I'm going to play this game. Right? I mean, what's the big money maker in racing these days? Horse racing, big fours, big fives, and ultimately, I think the pick six is not nearly as in vogue as it was. Although there is for you degenerates out there, and this is something I recommend wholeheartedly: pull some money with a couple of your friends and take a shot at the mandatory payout pick sixes. whenever they're available, which we hit with Marty the Party Sachs and our neighbor Joe. We hit one time. We each put in $100. This was a few years ago. Each put in a stick. Joe did all the handicapping. Marty the Party and I only put up our money. That was it. We said, Joe, you're a numerologist. You're a strategist. You're a handicapper. You're a guy that's going to read the racing form for a couple of days going into this thing and I'll come up with the numerology. And sure enough, he did. And he hit it for 9,000.
Jesus.
So for our 100, we each got back $3,000. And then after that, I mean, it's kind of crazy because Joe was a very friendly, talkative guy. He was living next door to me when I was at the Barefoot Beach Villas there up the street from where I am right now. And he was a former accountant. I guess, are you a former accountant? He was an accountant, and he was a professor of accounting at, I believe, at one time, Syracuse University, this guy. So very nice man. And I knew he loved the horses, and he was one of those guys that when you started talking to him, I hate to be like this, but, you want to be friendly with everybody, but there are certain people you start talking to, and that conversation is never going to end. And you know me, like Mr. Impatience. Do I really want to listen to anybody else talk? No. I mean, why would I listen unless I was talking? Is always my philosophy. You know that, Lubie, from doing a show with me for almost 12 years now. Yeah, we're closing in on 12 years together, and 4 months in this new format. So anyway, so Joe would be a guy that you would say hello to, and then start talking, and you're thinking, I got to figure out a way to exit this conversation sometime within the next half hour. So lo and behold, I don't know what happened. I mean, did he feel like he got gypped because he had to split the money 3 ways when we made zero contribution except coming up with the idea, and we did pool our money? I mean, if a guy puts up his money, and even if he does nothing, doesn't he deserve his cut of the thing? I don't know. You think the guy was mad that he had to share this money with us when we, in reality, didn't even know that he won?
Were you just supposed to stake him and not give? I don't get it. Who stakes people?
No, I mean, we pooled money and we decided. I mean, we could have all made our contributions as to one horse just to play, but I was already involved with some other people in another pick six pool. It was going to be a huge pool, like $10 million that had to be mandatorily paid out. Now, the way this works, Lubie, for the uninitiated is the pool builds up because it carries over. You can only win it. And under most circumstances, if there's only one winning ticket, that's what takes down the pool. Otherwise, you get a consolation payoff that day. Let's say 2 people have winning tickets on it. You each get a consolation payoff that day, and then a good portion of the money that was bet carries over to the next day. So it builds up and builds up. But when the state mandates that these pools have to be paid out, there are several times during the year for whatever bizarre reason where it's a mandatory payout. The track has to pay out all the money that's in these pools. Then a zillion dollars is bet in on that day because you don't have to have the only winning ticket on the pick six to cash. And the payoff is boosted by the fact that there's so much money that was already laying in that pool and is bet into it that day. So, you have a shot there to make a score. Big Rich hit one the other day, like a couple of weeks ago, for like 4,600 on a mandatory payout day.
Nice,
not too bad. I mean, so it can happen. But the guy never spoke to us again, pretty much.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
We were on a lose my number, status with this guy, Joe, who I like very much. So, Joe, if you're out there listening, I mean, how come we never did it again? Wouldn't you be inclined to go back in, jump right back in, put another 100 up for the next time that this situation occurred, as it will be the case tomorrow at Gulfstream Park? So that's a heads up. All right, we juxtaposed a few things this week to accommodate a lot of different things that happened on the show, including as explosive as I thought the Megan Imbert interview was that we did on the Believe podcast. And sometimes you're going back over similar material. I thought she was even more specific in that interview we had on the show yesterday. So you might want to check that one out there. That's easily done by Googling the Defo Show. Yep. And you have the whole archive of Ion Channel shows. Yesterday, John Feinstein, outstanding. Wish we had him on the screen there, but he was traveling and didn't have a chance to access us with his computer. And then Megan Imbert, the former Redskins television production director for their in-house television crew, award-winning, Emmy Award-winning producer for the Redskins and now the Commanders, with just a scathing indictment against the organization and a finger pointed directly in the face. It was you, Putin. It was you, Dan Snyder. I mean, about this sexual harassment stuff with some real specifics. So you might want to check that out. All right, we're going to get into some football. John Kajemi, who wasn't able to be with us on Monday, is going to join us and do a little Dateline Dolphins. A lot of stuff happening in the National Football League. And I don't know, you think John will want to juggle some odds for like who's going to win the Super Bowl next year? I don't know that we want to lay that on John
I don't know if that's
Kajemi.
anyone's dream that's early with drafts and free agency, but
Do we turn
always
John into a
speculate.
degenerate right here on the show? He's now under the umbrella of Degenerate Friday.
well, that's
John-
long enough where I'm sure there's a little bit in there now. I mean, he never shies away from dabbling in it when you bring it up.
No. I think I don't know. I want to say maybe John's made a couple of wagers. You know, I bet he'd like to get back into
comment.
being a TV color analyst on games. So when you see the money that's being thrown around for Troy Aikman and now others, and they're trying to lure Sean McVay in with like a $15 million a year deal. I don't even know if that's enough to interest the guy, right?
No,
When you got stiffs like Tony Romo, and I don't consider Troy Aikman good or bad. I don't
He's
know.
okay.
I'm indifferent to Troy Aikman.
He's
He's
okay.
all right.
it's okay.
A lot of cliches. No, I mean, it's almost a byproduct of the or a nature of the beast, is it not? If you're doing these kind of things, I mean, the guy that can avoid always using cliches without creating his own peculiar language,
Well, that's
that's
the
like
problem.
too sophisticated, like a Mike Mayock thing,
Yeah.
where they're talking about the laws of verticality, which it's just as easy to say, you know what, the guy can flat out jump. What happened to having a good pair of hands? This is a Mushnick thing where Chris Collinsworth is saying, well, he's an excellent catcher of the football. So he's got good hands. Come on, Chris, give me a break. Let's move on to the next play. But those guys are making like zillions of dollars, and there's a real battle on for just a handful of people. I would imagine the guy who's smiling in the background is our good friend Ian Eagle, who has to be thinking, my next deal is going to be for quite a substantial piece of change, right? If they're playing that old bag, Al Michaels, like going to get some ridiculous amount of money from Amazon to do games that a lot of people are not going to be able to see. Can you imagine? The television world, when it comes to sports analysts, has gone insane. All right, John Kajemi, great sports analyst, coming up next here on the show. Hialeah Park, always a great place to go. Talk about them all the time. They're just absolutely fantastic. And wow, I mean, we couldn't be more proud than to represent them. Check it out over the weekends now, expanded hours. They're open till 5 a.m. Saturday and 5 a.m. tonight. And that means they only close for like 4 hours. You can kind of hang out in your car there in the parking lot, just come right back in, start plunging again. It's great. Poker room. Horses, going to be a big day of thoroughbred racing with the Rebel at Oaklawn Park. You can catch that at the Champion Simulcasting Room. Of course, great food and drink. And the casino is just a dynamite place to go. More jackpots being won. Steve Calabro, I don't know how he has these machines calibrated, but whatever. Calabro, calibrate. Doing it the right way. That's why you can walk out a winner at Hialeah Park. Clear your social calendar. Make your plans to be there. Check out all the events that are going on at hialeahpark.com. And you're going to enjoy yourself. I can assure you, you're going to have a blast every time you visit beautiful Hialeah Park. Speaking of beautiful, the good-looking one himself, John Kajemi, going to join us next year. A little Dateline Dolphins on a Friday, part of our Degenerate Friday package here today. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubie Lubitz. And we'll be back with more here on Jack Namer's Fine Eye on Channel in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:19. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
He followed in the footsteps of the great Dan Marino and brought Pittsburgh to heights not seen since the great Tony Dorsett ran the ball to Panthers' glory. He made the CFL fans forget about Flutie and Theismann and Warren Moon. As a football analyst, he's been compared with D-Row and Madden. And even more importantly, he survived the Joe Philbin era as a member of the broadcast team, the Finsiders. We welcome to the program the great John Congemi. Made a dynamite debut, as alluded to in the opening there, and came right back with a strong follow-up. And every Monday, 9 o'clock, we go Dateline Dolphins with John Congemi. Jonathan, how are you, my friend?
I am doing terrific, Defo. I think the most impressive thing about that open was me surviving the Philbin era. I thought that was
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz. We welcome in with a little Dateline Dolphins, usually every Monday, and we'll probably get back on that track this coming Monday with John Congemi, who joins us. Brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104. It's a Congemi family thing there, as his brother Dominic really does a dynamite job in the kitchen. And I couldn't help but think this. I was reading, John, my New York Post this morning, and this guy named Marchand, I think it's Andrew Marchand, covers media for the Post, and he's been really, seriously tracking the potential movement of Al Michaels. Now, Troy Aikman is set to go to ESPN, one of your old seats. I don't know if you were making the same dough they're going to dole out for Troy Aikman, but I was thinking you're better looking than Romo and Aikman. You were probably a better quarterback at one time than both Romo and Aikman, and you had that chair there at ESPN. But man, I mean, can you believe this goofy money they're paying for a television NFL color analyst right now? Well, Romo already broke the bank with $18 million a year or whatever that is, $180 million for 10 years, and now Troy Aikman's going to exceed that. Just to sit there, and I don't know. I mean, Romo sounds like a babbling homeless guy that you would, you peel back the blanket in a Subway and say, here's $1, go get yourself some split pea soup. And Aikman, I don't know. He's fine. He's polished. He looks good on TV. He's a good-looking guy. But has he ever said anything that you said, my God, that's a great point? So I don't know. How do you feel, John? Are you thinking about getting back in that game? I think you ought to send out a couple of your clips from your days of being the college football analyst on ESPN.
that would be a great time to go back in and try to go back to the trough, Defo and Lubie. I mean, yeah, that's going to be a lot of money that Disney's going to be paying Troy Aikman if he does go from Fox to ESPN. And you're right, it'll probably go well above what Tony Romo his last contract was. And it'll be interesting to see the dynamics of this whole thing, because who are you going to pair with your latest hire that's going to be for multiple millions of dollars in probably 10 years. You would think you'd want to get Joe Buck to come with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But
supposedly they're working on that. Yeah, supposedly.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I bet $1.10 that it does happen, guys. And I think that I like both guys as just humans. I've been around both of them. Played golf with both of those guys.
How's Aikman? I mean, Romo we know is a stud golfer.
Romo's
like you
a
are.
stick,
yeah,
for sure. Troy was still working on it when it was a thing in progress.
It wasn't Barkley though. I mean,
no,
workable.
No one's Chuck right now, but Chuck's gotten better. He's gotten back on the horse.
Way better.
I played the last competitive round with Charles Barkley, I think, when he broke 80, and it was in Lexington,
Wow.
Kentucky, years ago. And after that, I don't know what happened, but Charles went south, and now it seems like he's got it back a little bit, which is good, because I know he enjoys the game.
Well, there's some things you just can't fix. I mean, there are guys, obviously, not everybody has the flawless fundamental swing that you see like a Freddie Couples or some of these guys
Right.
have. But, and we talked about Jim Furyk, because he had this weird thing where he took the club outside. And then yet, I mean, it really is in all of sports. If you're off in any type of game that you're playing, the real secret is you have to square up at the moment of impact. or whatever. If you're launching a shot, if you're throwing a pass, you somehow have to have your shoulders square and in some fashion and aligned in the proper way. And Furyk was able to bring that swing back in, and yet when he struck the ball, he was hitting it essentially from the same spot. You know who else had like a funky swing? Lee Trevino, right?
Yeah.
What wasn't
Chichi
normal?
Rodriguez, all those guys that used to play back when, because the equipment was so inferior to what it is today. You had to try to maneuver the golf ball, and those guys had an art, about the way they did it. Just think of all the different baseball stances and the way they approach the hitting a baseball. It's the same thing in golf. It's what you do at impact that matters, and how you get there is kind of individual to what you do, how you see the game. And I guess that's golf swings and the way you throw the football. You can go back to different guys and different delivery and different points of when they're trying to get rid of the football and arm angles. Guys do it all different ways, but at the end of the day, you still have to either get the golf ball in the hole, hit it over the fence, or throw it in the right area. And guys that do it at a higher percentage make more money. And Troy Aikman and Tony Romo, words per minute, wow. I don't know, but they're going to be able to make a lot of money and a great living after having successful football careers.
I mean, I have faith. Obviously, I'm big into announcers and the way they do everything and what they say. Probably less so than I used to be. When I was probably overly critical of every word that was uttered out of an announcing booth. Of course, unless it was me that was doing the event. But I was always critical of myself, doing play-by-play or color analysis or even doing talk shows. You're constantly thinking, hey, this really sounds like shit. I better pick it up. But
probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
Yeah. But Barkley's swing looked to be unfixable. It was so bad that it seems odd. I mean, you could have taken, Toski, anybody. Ken Venturi could have come back from the grave. And it seemed like it would have been impossible to iron that thing out into something that was functional, that would ever have a guy break 90 without a serious amount of, taking some leniency when it comes to actually accounting for every stroke.
Charles went through a big time, hitch in his swing, which became like 4 hitches. Yeah, because he kept stopping on the way back to the golf ball. And I don't know. I think that was more of a mental thing. It was almost like a blockage where you can't. You don't even know you're doing it. Yeah, you don't even really. You're doing it, but you can't stop it.
Yeah,
you're right. So it was good. I remember watching the Golf Channel. I think when I don't know which teacher it was, but I think Charles had they had him line up 100 golf balls in a row and had him go down and try to, hit every golf ball without stopping. And that would have been hard for anybody to do, just to get through the gauntlet of getting, to the 100th ball or whatever it was, 50 golf balls. But I know it's fixed now because I was watching him over the summertime on TV out in Lake Tahoe, and it's much better. And I think he's enjoying the game again, which is great because golf is for everyone. That's why they have a handicap on it. So it's a great game to go out and enjoy.
There are guys like me that never shut up when they're out there on a golf course, right? You're talking the whole time, maybe giving the other guys the business. Now, was Romo rambling when he was playing golf like he does on the broadcast?
Not really. No, he was pretty much to himself, to be honest with you. But it was more of a tournament setting. So, everybody was everybody was kind of grinding, trying to do the best they could. Some guys would start talking more or drinking more or doing whatever more when they were out of it. But Tony was a good guy, really good guy.
How do you keep yourself too, John? See, you're too well composed, to be a part of this show, especially a Degenerate Friday. But and I've had some good years in terms of monetary compensation for doing what essentially is a fun job. But when you see these salaries being doled out, I don't know. How do you avoid just feeling like a devout failure? It's incredible to think that somebody and that there are other people drafting in behind him now, like our good friend Ian Eagle. I mean, Jim Nance is hearing footsteps every time he does a broadcast, and now he's got to put up with what seems like just a shot fighter in Tony Romo. And he knows Romo's making more money than he is, even though he's got to go off to Pebble Beach the next week and start talking in a hushed tone about golf. just to make this, half the money that Tony's making. But I mean, it seems bizarre. I mean, you were there. You were working for ESPN for like 21 years. Did they ever sniff around these kind of numbers? Saying,
No.
"Listen, John, I know. Can you come
No.
back for like 18 million a year? We got 90 for you for 5 if you want it."
I would have been sitting next to you guys at Gulfstream every weekend had I made that type of money. Yeah, it's crazy. The money that's out there, it seems like it goes in waves because, the last couple of, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, ESPN went through a lot of cuts. They cut 500 people, they cut 500 jobs, and a lot of salaries getting ditched. And now it seems like they're ramping back up in terms of, if they're going to pay Troy Aikman for 10 years, I don't know.
I think it's a 5-year deal, 90 million, something like
whatever
that.
It is.
Yeah.
They're back, hitting it out of the park in terms of salaries and contracts and things like that. So, it seems like in sports, in broadcasting, and a lot of things in life, it's all about being lucky and having the right timing and having somebody be able to look at your work and say, wow, we ought to go dive a little deeper with this gentleman or this lady or whatever job it is in terms of broadcasting. And it seems like Tony Romo and Troy Aikman, they do a fine job doing their job of color analyst and trying to be insightful and reading plays and doing all the things that you do, in their seat. But they were very fortunate with timing and luck, and they were good at what they do.
No doubt about it. I don't know. There were guys. I mean, there were signature announcers in my life, and other people had them. Maybe more relatable to baseball. I guess Marv Albert, growing up in New York, was a voice that you always heard. Calling basketball and pucks, and Win Elliott was another classic voice. That was doing Ranger games. Mel Allen was my guy, and you could relate to that. But I have to say that when I tune in a sporting event today, if a couple of guys that I enjoy listening to are calling a game, I might be more inclined to pay more attention to the actual announcing and the broadcast. But I don't know that it matters. I mean,
it doesn't.
They're going to tune in Monday Night Football, whether Aikman and Joe Buck are there, or Joe Schmo and Beth Mowens are doing a game.
Exactly. My opinion is that when I tune into a game, because I've done it for such a long time, I kind of want to hear good people do the game, and if it's bad, it turns me off right away, and I'll either continue to watch the game, kind of muting those 2, 3, however many people are doing the game, or I'll just go find something else to watch. And it's funny that you said certain voices you attach to certain things, or guys that you really growing up that you had a fond ear to because they just it sounded like a big game, or you knew the Rangers were playing when you heard that voice. I was going through the phone the other day and I heard Charlie Jones's voice.
He was great. I love Charlie.
I immediately watched the whole clip. Because I knew that it was something worth watching, because I knew I could identify him with certain events. There's guys.
There was a folksy charm to him, much like was the case with Kurt Gowdy, also, who was that type of announcer. Yeah. So I mean, it made it feel like we were sitting with the guy in your living room, which is a hard thing to bring off. I mean, they always tell you, doing radio, I'm sure you've heard this from various consultants that tried to mess up your game. That picture somebody that you're actually talking to, and pretend that you're having, or imagine that you're having a one-on-one conversation with people. I guess the same would be applicable to TV, right? I mean, you're speaking to the camera as if it was somebody that you were just having a conversation with. So there were certain tenets there, but to get that quality, and I don't know that you find that anywhere. So I was super hypercritical of boxing announcers my whole life. I grew up on Don Dunphy. And I thought Dunphy was the greatest. And yet when you go back, this is 50 years ago, John, when he was doing like the Gillette Fight of the Week. And I couldn't wait to hear Dunphy. And he was mesmerizing to me. And I obviously was aspiring to be some kind of announcer, play-by-play guy, even as a kid, singing the national anthem in the bathtub at 5 and then announcing the Yankees starting lineup. And Dunphy, if you go back, he hardly said anything. Right. It's amazing how sparse and sparing he was with whatever it was that he was articulating. I mean, he would go 30 seconds of a round without saying a word with no color analyst. And I'm thinking, wow, that would never fly today. I mean, the producer would come running out of the truck, with piano wire and strangle you from
Right.
behind if you
Well,
let a 30-second lapse go in any kind of broadcast like that. And yet it was effective because when nothing was going on, he was kind of saying nothing.
we used to go to seminars every year, Defo, for college football. And I don't know how many times, you go to Bristol or you go to Hartford, you go to Charlotte, and you get around, and there was different themes every year. And I remember one season, it was almost like on second down, they wanted everybody just to lay out and let the broadcast breathe. So it was first down, running play, Duke Johnson off right tackle for 8 yards, Miami 2nd and 8. No one would say a word. You kind of get, you'd kind of just let it breathe a little bit, and it actually felt good not to say anything.
It's effective.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is.
And that became
cleansing.
really, it was cleansing, really, and that became really cool after a huge touchdown at the end of a game or a huge touchdown before half. Just let it breathe and let the crowd soak it in and take those shots. Let the producer and director take you all around the stadium, and then come in with the highlight. And those were fun moments. And guys sometimes kind of, I don't know, you step on it in those moments, and it's not the same effect.
See, I think of it like the offensive line, right? Like when an offensive line's really good, no one ever talks about them. When they're bad, all you do. Broadcasters, it's about the game. Like when they're
we weren't talking about the Dolphins yet, were we, Lubie? What's going on here?
Oh no. It's like,
well, I mean, it's a fine mess you've gotten us into now, John Kajemi, with your Dateline Dolphins. But anyway, I mean, it's all interesting stuff. The money there, it just struck me this morning that, I mean, how could anybody, I mean, you say this about athletes sometimes, like how could anybody be worth that much money? I was thinking like an NBA salary today, if you're in this super max thing where you're making $50 million a year, the Heat franchise cost Ted Harrison $50 million to buy. In 1988,
one player,
one player for one season, not even like his career. I mean, it's not like you sign LeBron lifetime. Here's 50, LeBron. You're playing for as long as you can play. Well, let's get to the Miami Dolphins because they're the centerpiece of a lot of controversy, John Kajemi. And I know you're affiliated with the franchise, and very much close to a lot of the people there. Somebody's lying. I guess is the way it goes, right? Either Brian Flores is just flat out of his mind, making ridiculous assertions that have no bearing and foundation in truth, and he's persistent in doing it. I mean, and he's even back in the league, and he's still doing it, as was the case on HBO Real Sports. And the Dolphins organization consistently comes out with a hammering denial, saying that the man is seeing bugs. What do you make of this? I mean, where do you see it going, John Kajemi, if you had to speculate on such things?
Well, I think it is a bit of a crazy situation because you have a coach that was pretty successful at his job as a head coach of the Miami Dolphins. You bring a guy in to try to win the AFC East, right? Because you're not going to go anywhere unless you do that. Well, I know that New England doesn't have Tom Brady, but he figured out how to beat Bill Belichick and the players that were still there the last 3 times they took the field. It seems like the Buffalo Bills are the new New England Patriots of the AFC East, so you got to try to figure out how to beat those guys. But you get rid of a guy that seemed to be turning the tide with 10 and 9 wins in consecutive seasons. You fire him, obviously, because there was some infighting going on between head coach and GM, head coach and owner, head coach and assistant coaches, head coach and quarterback, head coach and other players. There was a lot of things probably going on that us as laymen, as fans, as guys that are talking about the Miami Dolphins don't really relate to or see with the naked eye because you're not in the building. You're not there at practice every day. You're not around it. But obviously there had to be the tension so high in that room that something had to go. Something had to give. And it seemed like Chris Greer, and as the GM, and he's been there employed by the Miami Dolphins for such a long time, probably had a fonder ear to the owner than the head coach because of them going sideways somewhere in that relationship. So if I were to speculate or guess and kind of analyze the situation, I think all of those things probably added up and started to tumble down with the team, with the quarterback, with the coaching staff, with the front office. and all fingers pointed at Brian Flores that he was probably the guy that needed to go. The easiest way to alleviate the problem within the building.
I would have had more problem if this is true, John Congemi, and we've heard speculation that Flores was the guy that was signing off on these personnel decisions. That Flores was the guy that, even though he didn't seem to like Tua, and I don't know where he stood on the Tua Justin Herbert thing. It was somewhat justifiable at the time. I know Lubie was convinced that Tua, he didn't think much of Herbert, and now we've seen later on that turned out to be just a giant, maybe even disastrous organizational mistake. But we'll see. I mean, a few more years on the resume, and I think it'll probably prove out more likely to be true that Herbert would have been giant salvation for the Dolphins at the quarterback position, whereas Tua, I see him maybe playing a couple of more years here and then, being cast adrift there. I don't know if he's going to be the next Brian Hoyer, but what do you see? Do you see Tua now being cemented in this quarterback position with McDaniel coming up with genius innovations? I do like the moves they're making in terms of bringing back former Dolphins and players that were well respected as coaches. And I think that's a plus. And I'm actually thinking the most effective one might be Wes Welker working with Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
And if Wes Welker had the athleticism of Jalen Waddle, imagine what he would have been in the league. So I'm thinking that kind of guy, a Wayne Corbett kind of guy, can really be an effective teacher to somebody that has what appears to be like unlimited potential. So I like those moves. But do you think that Flores? I mean, what's your position on this? Because a lot of people say that Flores was making these personnel decisions, and he was the one that was bungling his own roster. And then you wonder, what the hell is Chris Greer doing? Because every time I see him, he does appear to be in the mode of, he's hanging around Stephen Ross. You mentioned he sees him in a very favorable light. It's, I'm thinking, I'm your puppet. Like, I don't know. Does he do anything, Chris Greer? That's the question.
First of all, to your point, Defo, with Lubie in the quarterback situation, unless you were at all those pro days, if you took just the film of Alabama and Oregon and you took those two quarterbacks and Herbert and Tua, you would have to say, I don't know. Herbert has a live arm. He's very mobile, but in that offense and what Oregon was trying to do, you really didn't see this coming after 2 years. You didn't see, 100% that, wow, this guy's, a 99.9, if not 100, and Tua's around a, 74.8 in terms of rating him on a 100-point scale. I would have had to come away with the college film going, I don't know. Tua's pretty much a sure thing, I would think. And Herbert, I don't know. You got to cross your fingers, get to the right team. But if you saw him at a pro day and all of a sudden you were asking him to do pro things, you might have a different lens on it. You might have, Tua's got a cap to what he can do. This guy's, oh my gosh, if he gets with the right offense and the right system and the right people around him, you can just, go no huddle and just let him fling it all over the field. So that's the situation there. To your coaching point, I think Wes Welker probably, could end up being the best hire of the bunch because, I have a lot of respect for Sam Madison. I work with Sam. I'm a friend of Sam's.
He's
Same
great.
with Pat.
Hey.
Both of these guys are great, but how are they going to teach X and Byron Jones and X taking teaching from these guys going, hey, you guys played in the 90s. I'm good. Right? That's the modern day athlete, no matter who it is.
You really think they would shrug off? Like, Sam Madison was an excellent NFL player.
How much money did you make in your career? You know what I'm making? I got it. Don't worry about it.
That's a lot to overcome, though.
Athlete,
yeah,
whether we like it or not.
Especially corners. Corners are usually very
right. No matter where it's coming from.
Guys,
right. But I do think those guys are great hires because they bring a lot of energy. They bring a lot of knowledge. And maybe, you're just gleaming off of the starters and you're critiquing certain things. Hey, remember this, remember that. In this coverage, you got to stay a little deeper. But it's the other guys that are going to get a wealth of knowledge around them. And hopefully that bolsters the secondary when somebody goes down. So, a safety that needs to know, hey, X is going to play it this way because I remember that in the meeting, Sam brought that up. It's just a lot of the nuances that go into that position. Wes Welker is going to be great. Wes Welker needs players to coach, though. And that's the position.
He needs to be able to amputate his hands and transplant them onto Williams and a couple of the other guys there that
Right.
occasionally have the Roberto Duran.
There's got to
Hands of
be
stone.
more bodies. There's got to
Yeah.
be more bodies at that position for Wes to be effective. Yeah, Jalen Waddle is going to learn a lot. Jalen Waddle had
He looks
great
like he's
year.
going to be excellent. I mean,
Yeah,
if he, imagine if he
had
has
a
a
great
quarterback that is playing, at a razor sharp level as well, then he's only going to get that much better.
Right.
With some support. I mean, so what does this do? I look at the face of Stephen Ross, and we've been kind of, tossing this around this week, John, and I kind of wanted to throw it at you as well. I mean, because you're obviously very successful. I mean, you've done well for yourself. Your family's great. Lubie and I are more along the mode of starving artists at this point.
I'm
in
with
our
you
lives.
guys. I'm with you guys.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, we're okay. Look, we're all going to be all right, I guess. Very lucky, very fortunate in that regard, not to have to deal with like real severe, problems in terms of just making it through any given day. But I mean, here's Stephen Ross with billions of dollars, and we're thinking he can't buy like a moment's peace, right? His wife just took him down for $100 million. His now ex-wife. And Brian Flores is on TV every day saying, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's a racist pig that wanted to lose. I mean, it's crazy. You can have all the money in the world, is my thought on this, John. And if you can't buy a moment's peace, what good is it? Unless you just have no conscience, which I don't know. I mean, do you think Stephen Ross is sleeping well at night with Brian Flores going on television every day, pointing a finger in his face and saying, this man's an ugly pig?
Defo, probably. I would have to say he's sleeping very.
What was more
comfortably.
torturous, though, the wife with the $100 million or
I
Flores?
maybe, yeah. I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah.
That's a big number. I
Not
don't
for
know.
Steve.
You're right. Not for certain people.
Yeah.
But there's,
number.
there's always my story, your story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. So I think this is a long way from being over. I thought that, I'm not so sure what happened, what transpired, 2 seasons ago, a long time ago in terms of, football. But it seems like that first year, the team started so poorly. They got better around good coaching and around a guy that was more disciplined. And, I don't know what's true and what's not true, but I'm sure that'll come out in a couple more months. But I do have to say my time around Brian Flores, I enjoyed. He treated me well. My time around Stephen Ross, he's a good guy. He treated me well. I don't know where the truth lies in terms of, pay for play or pay for loss in this case. But I'm sure, both guys are going to be just fine. I just don't know. How it's going to end and when it's going to end, because this seems going to be a lingering thing going into next season. I would assume.
Well, I was watching this interview again. I saw it again last night with Brian Flores and his two attorneys, with Gumbel making the faces on Real Sports. And I mean, they didn't go into a tremendous depth, but one thing struck me and stayed with me about this whole thing, which the lead attorney said that they're more than willing to show in discovery if they're deposed in an investigation, the evidence that they have, clear evidence that they have about all of these assertions. Especially, I mean, the damaging one. Look, the racism is a vagary that it's
I
very
don't
hard
know
to
if that's going
pinpoint
anywhere.
and say, okay, this man's a racist. I mean, how do you really say that? I mean, it's it's theoretical, hypothetical, but in many ways, even if the guy gives evidence that these are his tendencies, but the idea that you might have paid a coach to lose is I mean, that's grounds I would have to think you would have to have this guy out of the league. So they say they have some kind of concrete proof of this, and it'll be interesting, very interesting to see if Stephen Ross goes. And I don't know. I mean, at this point, what do you think the fans' perception is of Stephen Ross? I mean, I kind of always defended him. Like, people would call into talk shows, John, and they go, "Hey, Stephen Ross, what an asshole, man! We got to get rid of him." And I'm thinking, I don't know if he's really the problem. He had a lot of money, and he seemed to be dedicated. I know Wayne Huizenga was despised as an owner when he first, bought the Dolphins, and then people realized, wow, this guy will do anything for the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
So They became he became a much more likable guy, Wayne Huizenga. I think he was perceived favorably by the time he passed away, and was no longer involved with the team. But Ross looked like a guy that you would want to have as an owner. No, somebody that maybe isn't too overwhelmingly involved, but is willing to spend whatever. And he just unfortunately seemed to be listening to the wrong people. But do you think people's perceptions of Stephen Ross, fans and media, have changed at all in light of all of these things that have come forward?
Probably a little bit. There's probably some frustration that bleeds into this situation. Fans, all they want to do is win, and they don't want to hear about the excuses. They don't want to hear about salary cap. They don't want to hear about a guy being injured. All they want to do is show up, pay for their, food and drink, pay for a good seat, and watch their team win. And if they don't win, well, it's the head coach, it's the owner, it's the quarterback. Those are the guys that are going to be first on the list that, this guy can't play, this guy can't coach, and this guy's a bad owner, no matter what the circumstances are. So, going back to Mr. Huizenga, everybody that worked for him, everybody that played for him thought he was a great owner. Stephen Ross, look what he's done with the stadium. Look what he's done with.
He just made some big score in some business deal in Palm Beach where his company bought like all of the office buildings, in the most lucrative area of West Palm Beach. Like Worth Avenue is now Stephen Ross's personal street to play stickball on.
Yeah, you can't say that Stephen Ross didn't put the money and allocate the money to the Miami Dolphins that they needed to give them every chance of being successful, because he has done that as an owner. So it's one of those things where maybe they haven't had the talent. Maybe it was the coaching. Maybe it was a combination of both. But for some reason, it's held the Miami Dolphins back. So hopefully, with McDaniel now coming in, hiring 20 plus new members of his coaching staff, you still need players. You can have all the great coaching and all the great schemes in the world, but if you don't have the players on the field that are going to determine the game ultimately, you have to upgrade there somehow, some way. And I think the Dolphins haven't had home runs in successive years in terms of free agency and draft. And I think that's where it comes back to, that's held the Miami Dolphins back on the field.
Flores could easily, the facial resemblance is not as solid as you would need, but he could play Mike Tomlin in the movie. I mean, he comes off a lot like Mike Tomlin, doesn't he? Especially in an interview with Brian Gumbel the other night. Chris Greer, I mean, he looks to me like he's really a non-factor, which I think possibly holds. Who is calling the shots there on personnel if it isn't this guy? That's the question.
It is Chris Greer. I mean, his personality is not a boisterous one, but he is.
He just looks like one of the Ross yes men. I mean, and maybe he's razor sharp. I don't know, but it didn't seem that way.
Well, sometimes when you're in that position of trying to mold a team and you're going through free agency and you're going through the draft, you have to get a little bit of luck. I don't think Miami Dolphins have had a whole lot of luck. They've evaluated the same players everybody else is evaluating, but you take a tackle that maybe isn't as mature as you thought he could be.
You're very diplomatic about this when you talk about
3 years
this
in a row, and it's like, how come it's working for everybody else and not us? You watch these guys play at Notre Dame, you watch these guys play at USC, and they do a hell of a job. They interview well, they test out well. You get them on your team, and is it the coaching, is it the player, or is it a combination of both? Because they're not the same players they were in college, and they're starting for your team, and your team is struggling. And it comes back, the fingers come back pointing at you because you're the guy that's responsible for getting these guys on the team. But at some point, the players have to have some type of responsibility because they're not playing up to their expectation as well. So is that just the player, or is that coaching, or is that a combination of both?
No player was as well protected as you were at St. Thomas Aquinas by the great Tommy Fox, John Conchemi, and he would be the first to tell you that you are looking as good as you are today. I mean, he, at times has the appearance a little bit of a shot fighter. A lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries. When he threw that ball in the air and he just yelped in pain because he had to raise his hand, 1 inch above his shoulder the other day on the tennis courts. I was like, and here's Kajemi looking great. And you know why? Because you're very relaxed, because you spend your share of time at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
I do.
Mile marker 104, Overseas Highway, Key Largo. We can't wait to get back there. Speaking of Tommy Fox, people are starting to, we're starting to get a little like pressure, like we were in the MLB negotiations there. Like the season ain't going to start on time, to get down there to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, do another show. But great place to hang out. And right now, I mean, the height of the season, everybody's just digging it down there, John.
Yeah, the weather's been perfect down in the Keys. It's been really in South Florida, anywhere you go. But if you go down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and I'm sure this might be an opportune time, guys, because Jimmy likes to bring a lot of the Fox people that he works with down to fish, in the month of March, month of April. So
he loves Aikman,
when Troy signs this big contract, maybe we can go down and kind of freeload, get a couple pops off of Troy, and bump into my brother who's it does a great job there, Dominic, and Amanda, his wife, and they run the whole place. And Larry does a spectacular job making sure it's shining, because it truly is a jewel of the Upper Keys, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Between the scenery, the food, the way you're handled down there, the first-class service, it's just a great place to go and spend a weekend, spend a day, go have lunch, go have dinner. They have a sports bar. They have a tiki bar. They have a restaurant. Dominic makes incredible pizzas to your choice, to your liking. So it's just a fun place to be, and a fun place to hang out and just relax, kick back and relax, and enjoy the Bayside of the Upper Keys.
Jimmy has really adopted and adapted that whole Keys mentality too, and it's great to see, because he really does. He brings a lot of these guys, and you're looking. There's a table there, and you're seeing like Belichick and Butch Davis and Troy Aikman. They're all sitting there having one of those giant plates of pork nachos that are very unique, and swigging down a bunch of beers. And you see, as much of a pressure cooker as the NFL was and is made out to be, that Jimmy found a way to just enjoy himself, and all of the different relationships that he developed, even if they were adversarial, at a time when he was coaching football. Certainly, he would like to beat the snot out of Belichick if he was going with the Cowboys against the Patriots. But the atmosphere now, I mean, it's so much fun, and it's a perfect place for him. I mean, you couldn't have a more appropriate place than Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill for him to hang out with the guys there and, have a good time enjoying this great weather. All right, so some serious stuff going on in the NFL in terms of, we're looking at free agency starting up here, John Kajemi. You have a lot of quarterback juxtaposition that may take place, with a little bit of a QB shell game that could be interesting. And there are a couple of marquee players there. So we'll come back. We'll talk some football with John Kajemi on Dateline Dolphins here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Later on, the Professor. I don't know if you've been catching the Professor's Act on these Degenerate Fridays the last couple of weeks, John. But
I haven't. No, I haven't.
He's gone to props and like a very sophisticated technical system now that he's broadcasting with, and he's gone to the big board, and he's knocked it out of the park. He's done it twice, and I don't know what he can do today.
Do I need a whiteboard? I mean, what do we need here?
You know what? We need a budget. No. No. The professor, he's gone to extremes, and the stuff is great. So I don't know what he's got going today, but I'm looking forward to seeing it and hearing it as well. I think the audience is getting a big kick out of it. He's coming up later on, and then the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, who ran into David Portnoy doing his.
Nice.
You ever seen him with that one bite pizza
absolutely.
thing? Although he literally like shoveled a whole slice in his face, Portnoy. So it was hardly one bite, but he gave like kind of a tepid rating to one of Mayo's favorite places. So I'd imagine there'll be some fireworks there. And there goes any shot we have of, having a platform on Barstool, which I don't know. Do we want that? John Kajemi, does your image fit Barstool Sports?
Absolutely.
I guess for the right price, if you were making acre money.
They want to pay us.
Absolutely. I can turn on a dime, Defo.
That's why he fits in with us.
I thought it was about loyalty here. I always love that when, some radio station or entity you were departing, decided to get, see, if you were, not inclined to, be favorable to them because they had treated you so well, even though the other company was offering double. And you're like, loyalty is a good thing, but they got more money than you. So see you later. All right, we're coming back with more here on Ion Channel, the Defo Show. John and Jimmy, Dateline Dolphins, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Aaron Rodgers probably on the move. Everybody's speculating on that. You got Russell Wilson. Does he go to a new team? Seahawks anymore? Pete Carroll, it's over. I don't know if the romance is over there. Many things happening. Matt Ryan's going to cost the Falcons $50 million against the cap.
Yeah, no way.
John Congemi. I mean, a lot of decisions to be made. We'll discuss them with John Congemi in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8 o'clock.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
We welcome to the show John Congemi, who joins us for Dateline Dolphins. John, how are you, my friend?
Defo, I'm doing well, and that's not the only thing that's going to reach a new height. I'll be at about 220, 225 after this football season if we visit too much. The food's outstanding down at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Michael Lubitz, and the empty chair belongs to John Congemi.
Is that a tribute?
Who, probably figured that we were involved in a longer break. And I was actually going to ask John about the spot for Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, because I think Amy did a marvelous job with the scenes that she plugged in there. And it wasn't like, we provided her with a lot of video for that thing. John, how are you, my friend? Good to have you back.
I'm great.
We were filling all the time there. I did want to kind of, let me see, which way do I have to duck here? Can you see the poster behind me, Vitaly Klitschko? I want to pay homage to Vitaly Klitschko. The Klitschko's seen, and he's the mayor of the city that's under attack here from the Russians in the Ukraine. And I love it, man. I mean, the Klitschkos are ready to go in there and go 12 with anybody. That even utters like hello in Russian. I mean, Dr. Steelhammer, boom, ready to hit him with a left hand. They say, hey, we're going to go down fighting, man. That's the spirit. But, wow, horrible things happening around the universe here. And, very scary. Just looking at some of the clips right now, it isn't really sort of pressuring us here in the United States. But you never know, man. I mean, it's a crazy world, John. So what we're hoping for some kind of, quick solution to that problem there. But the Klitschkos and a lot of sporting people, kind of bringing attention is yesterday. I thought that was kind of nice. That's one of the good things that happens through sports sometimes, even under the most horrible and horrendous of circumstances. All right. What's happening with quarterbacks in the NFL, John? What are you zeroing in on? Because Russell Wilson's been talking about leaving Seattle for the last couple of years. He hasn't left. Maybe it's time. I don't know. They haven't. They don't strike you as being on the threshold of winning a championship, do they? Pete Carroll, I like him as a coach. Yes, there were a few things that might have gone on at USC that were a bit unscrupulous, and he left them holding a bag, as a lot of coaches tend to do when they're leaving the college ranks before the advent of name, image, and likeness. which helps them sort of circumvent a lot of this stuff that they had to cover up in the past. But good coach. People get on his back about that pass play when he had Marshawn Lynch, what was literally carrying like 4 guys 5 yards at a crack. And he had 4 plays. Didn't he have like 4 plays going? Was that like a first down play when he threw the ball and Malcolm Butler intercepted?
First or second?
It was second down.
Yeah.
Horrendous, right? I mean, coaching decision, the likes of which you would only figure that Andy Reid was capable of. If you want to, or Kyle Shanahan, if you wanted to write a textbook on how to blow a Super Bowl, that was it. But I mean, do you see? I mean, who do you see making moves this year? Do you think Russell Wilson goes? Aaron Rodgers? Most people are speculating isn't coming back to Green Bay, and yet the rhetoric that's coming out of Green Bay, and even to a lesser extent from Rodgers, seems like whatever hostilities they had about each other going into last year, they've patched that up somewhat.
It seems like they've patched it up, but you never know. Money talks, and it depends on if I'm Aaron Rodgers. I mean, are they going to re-sign the best wide receiver that they have in Devontae Adams? He's also a guy that could go and go to another team in free agency. So I don't know. Russell Wilson's been bantered around there for many years now. There's a lot of teams. Pittsburgh Steelers obviously would be a nice destination for him because of what they do schematically and what a great defense. Who wouldn't want to be a quarterback there and play, have the Steelers, kind of walk out on the field defensively and know you've got a chance every weekend, every Sunday or Monday or Thursday night to win a game if you play mediocre, because that's really what the offense did last year. They didn't have a whole lot of firepower left with Ben and with the way they played on offense. They were mediocre at best, and they were right there at the end of the year to have a chance, to get into the playoffs and do some damage. And the defense kind of led the way. So if I'm one of those quarterbacks that's looking, the Steelers would be an attractive place to go. I don't know if it's Aaron Rodgers because it seems like he might want to get back out to the West Coast and take Jimmy Garoppolo's job with the San Francisco 49ers.
Which would be something, huh? I mean, it would be worth a shot there with the 49ers, would it not? Although they drafted this kid that was supposed to replace Garoppolo and obviously don't think that much of him.
It would be a fun scenario, I think, for Rodgers because it would – not only would he go to a team that's loaded with talent on the outside, but they can win, and he could probably play for a couple more years. It's not like, he had a toe injury last year, but there's nothing wrong with his right arm. There's nothing, the velocity and the way he throws the football, he has some more wear and tear on the tires. I think he could play for 2 or 3 or 4 more years if he wanted to. I don't know if he wants to.
And people keep bringing up the Broncos, but what's funny is, do you really want to be in the AC right now with Mahomes?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to be a quarterback and go to the Broncos. I mean, just look at the
NFC West. The Cardinals are down. The Seahawks are down.
You can't win. There's no window to the playoffs there. I don't think. And if I'm a guy that has multiple MVPs, Super Bowl title, and you're talking about Russell Wilson, you're talking about Aaron Rodgers that fit into both or one or two of those categories. You want to go to a team that has a chance to win it all. And San Francisco is that type of team.
John Kajemi with us here on Dateline Dolphins on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest and Mike Lubitz. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting. He has dumped more hot chicks. I probably put an asterisk around Danica Patrick. I didn't think she was all that. But, I mean, for a NASCAR driver, I don't want to be disparaging about anybody's looks, but she looked a lot better than Janet Guthrie. Let's put it that way. But I mean, you had to have a real daredevil mentality to be Aaron Rodgers and drive around town with Danica Patrick if she ever took the wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, she never got past lap 3, I don't think, at Daytona, right? You could count on her being back at the hotel before they even got.
It would have been dangerous going through the drive-through at Chick-fil-A, making that turn. I think if you were,
with Patrick, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and he's probably a Chick-fil-A guy. Maybe he wants to play for the Falcons because they have to cut loose Matty Ryan. I mean, would you take a chance? See, I would, and yet it's more speculative than it even was before. But I think it was showing that it was going to go in a good direction. Would you take a shot on Jameis Winston? How hot of a commodity should he be? Because he probably comes at a low price because he didn't get a chance to really prove that he had made this metamorphosis as a quarterback last year. When he was showing signs that maybe that was the case.
That's a tough one. That's a flip of the coin. You have to have the right infrastructure, personnel, schematically to fit what you think Jameis could have success at. The injury is probably that ACL type of injury now doesn't have as much weight as it used to because guys are coming back quicker, they're coming back better, and they very rarely, knock on wood, have that occur again in their career. So I think the injury isn't the big sticking point when you bring up Jameis Winston's name. I think what might be is, he excelled in New Orleans, right? Now you had a really good offensive-minded coach. You had a really good offensive-minded quarterback coach that gleamed off of what Drew Brees did there for years. So I think that helped him, and it set him up for success a little bit more instantaneously than he might have had going somewhere else, where he may have gone through some more struggles, had some successes like he did at Tampa Bay, but still equally have some, turnover issues. I think Jameis is a guy that you could play around, but it all depends. You throw Jameis in Denver, it's not going to do anything, right? It's not going to do anything for you. Jameis has to go to a team. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers might be a good fit for Jameis because it's one of those things where you run it, you protect it, you got enough guys on the outside that can get things done, but you've got a defense that's going to get the football back for you. So it all depends on where, what seat you have and where you're going and what that team has to offer. And does it fit into the skill set of what he brings? He can throw the football down the field. He's got a live arm. He still has some escapability, but he turns it over. And that's gotten better over the recent years.
He was playing well. I think he had one crappy game last year before he got hurt.
Very well.
Yeah,
so
but
I think, you brought up Matt Ryan's name. And all the money that's allocated to
$48 million against the cap for the Falcons. That's 23 point something percent of their salary cap
for a team that's below average. Just take a look.
So what do you do with that? I mean, now does the other team inherit that hideous onerous number against the cap, or do they just say, "Hey, Matt, you're not getting any $50 million. We got 25."
I'm sure there's different ways that they restructure contracts in terms of giving money and signing bonuses and moving it around depending on who has that flexibility. What team do you go to, and what suitor is going to be out there going, we're all in for a 40-plus guy that, we think is still pretty good, but what kind of team is it? And it goes back to that. Can the quarterback change the dynamic of a team? Is there enough there that he can change the dynamic of a team? Now, I would argue that if Matt Ryan wasn't the quarterback in Atlanta, maybe they're not average. Maybe they're well below average.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Because
I would agree. He's been really good throughout his career.
Yeah.
So, it all depends on, the number that's attached to that quarterback, and can that quarterback, what is he bringing to the table to make us better? Obviously, that's why we're interested in him. But number two, what does that team offer the quarterback? Is there enough there to salvage that he can make a 500 team go into the playoffs and make a run?
Well, we saw Stafford. an upgrade from an erratic Jared Goff.
Yep.
And even though he has more than a share of flaws and, gives teams opportunities to come back into games very often with, is there a well-timed pick? At crucial times of ball games. Obviously interceptions are more effective and impactful than others. And he had that penchant to do that. But you know what? The slight upgrade with the Rams and the fact that they were all in at other positions, and in terms of, sort of sacrifice in the future, they prospered from making that move. So maybe Ryan
they did, and looked at, Joe Burrow, what he did for Cincinnati. Cincinnati was an afterthought in that division. And now they're the team to beat, right? So a quarterback with a good coach and a good system and good players around can make a huge difference. And Joe Burrow and Stafford and guys like that, they make a they make an instant impact. And for both of those teams, probably more for Cincinnati, that impact is going to be there for an extended period of time because of the youth of Burrow.
Well, it's painful, John, when you say that to a Dolphin fan when you reference Cincinnati, because there was my favorite thing is a little ingenuity in the front office. They made the right choices on quite a few players. In addition, I mean, Burrow fell into their laps, and had he not gotten injured, they might have drafted Tua
exactly
with that number 1 overall pick, because that was the way it looked like it was going to play out, and had he not gotten hurt, you would have thought Tua would have prospered and looked great quarterbacking the Alabama Crimson Tide, which would be, I think, ranked somewhere in the mid-20s, both offensively and defensively, among NFL teams in any system, statistical and or mathematical power rankings. All right, one last thing, John, and of course, John Kajemi, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. And that is, did you go to the Combine when you were coming out of college, out of the University of Pittsburgh?
No, I didn't. I had injured my back actually in the Carrier Dome. I had broken my back, and I wasn't medically cleared to go into the Combine. And the Combine was just starting out then. They used to have this, they used to have this Blesto service that used to come to the schools, and you'd have your pro day. And the Combine was just starting out I think it was my junior or senior year. But I did not go because I had broken my back in a football game in college.
Even with a broken back, you would have looked better running the 40 than Tom Brady did, which kind of gets to my point.
He turned it around after the 40, though. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's weird, that everybody. How much weight do you put on what happens there? That would be my question.
Less and less every year. I think less and less every year, because you fall in love with guys you think are going to fit a scheme because they jump very high or they run very fast, but no one's doing a football move. The tape, the film. I think the interview process is probably the most important thing of the Combine, because you sit down for 15 or a half an hour with a guy that you want to get to know, that you can glean some personality, you can get some insight into his background, his upbringing, what's important to him, all the things that help you build the fiber of your football team. You can say, I want that guy on my team, or I don't want that guy on my team, or there's some question marks. Does the football aspect lean me to, take some deficiencies in maybe a personality trait that I don't like?
It's funny, I'm thumbing through the paper here because my man Phil Mushnick, of course, a very cynical columnist for the New York Post, and he was talking about, all of these draft, mock drafts and bracketology, and how ridiculously inaccurate and insane they are. And he was looking, unfortunately, at the Raiders draft picks this year. And I forget the name of the defensive back. He bounced around Damon Arnett. Who actually had a brief cup of coffee there with the Dolphins.
Right.
And you're wondering, what did they get out of the interview process if this guy was at the Combine that led them to draft this guy in the first round when he had just a series. I mean, you talk about, a long rap sheet. He had a series of indiscretions that were all of a criminal nature, and just continued to behave like that. And yet, they took him. And unfortunately, they also took Henry Ruggs, who I don't know if he was a bad guy, but, was involved in just a hideous, irresponsible accident. And is probably going to spend, 25 years in prison now, as a result of that. And those were their first round picks last year. So, inexact science it is, yes.
Well, the head coach and the GM are both no longer there.
Too, yeah. They did out of here. But Mark Davis still has the great haircut, Still one of the most inexplicable things about the human condition is how Mark Davis looks.
Bowl. You cannot screw up the bowl cut.
He looks in the mirror every day and says, that looks good. John, we love you, man. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Hey,
get on
you
Tommy
guys.
Fox. Let's get some specifics on this thing.
Yeah, let's get going.
So we'll make those arrangements. We'll do the show down there, and we'll talk again right around the corner here on Monday. So we'll have some more things.
Look forward to it, guys.
Yeah, we have to hope Brian Flores does another interview, and then we'll have like an easy
That's
hour
the
to fill.
material. That's right.
Thanks, John. Always a pleasure.
You got it, guys. Take care, Lubie.
Jimmy Johnson is a big chill, bringing you John Congemi here on the Defo Show. All right, I don't know what he can do to follow it. You know what? It's like I think the Chambers brothers came up at the Singer Bowl in New York, and they had to follow like Jimi Hendrix onto the stage. You know, a young Jimi Hendrix who was just kind of becoming known, and he was on the bill, I think, with Janis Joplin also. That was a triple header. It was Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, the Chambers brothers. $3 to get in, Lubie. $3.
That's
Can you
impressive.
imagine? Yeah, and that was like you were on the stage. You could play drums on a couple of the songs if you wanted to. For $3, that was great. But yeah, I mean, the professor has his own tough act to follow here, and that's coming up hopefully next. Now he may. You think he has a little stage fright today?
I mean, he told me of his plans, so he was really geeked up. But again, the mornings are not his wheelhouse. We used to have him on later.
He's won 2 Super Bowls right here on the show. 2 Super Bowls. And also the Gambling Gourmet. I'm very, very curious to tee one up for the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, after this David Portnoy sighting, and he sent me the clip of the review of the pizza spot, which Portnoy had, and it was overall very favorable. Mayo was not a big fan of it. Yeah.
Well,
he loves the pizza spot.
I didn't realize that this is how Portnoy got his fame. I never even heard of this guy going and doing these pizza things. But when Mayo started to explain,
I don't think this is how he achieved his fame, but it's something that he's done since he's had like this giant platform.
Something he's done for a while that people follow intently. Supposedly, if he does a place, it gets slammed. The way Mayo was describing how he does it, it's sort of weird to me. Like I don't know.
He shoveled an entire slice of this pizza in his face. It was supposed to be the one bite thing. That was the whole gimmick. He took one bite and he said, either thumbs up or thumbs down, or Julius Caesar type
of thing. It flop, like good pizza flops. Folded in half, it doesn't flop anymore. Like that's a weird thing. Even consistency wise, like it's usually you want it slightly crispy. You don't want it hard as a rock. Like that's a weird. Who wants pizza hard as a rock? That's a weird.
He liked everything else about it except that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little squiggly there, it's hanging down. All right, the Gambling Gourmet will, I'm sure, have his analysis on that. The professor is with us, and I don't know, Lubie, this ought to be interesting.
I hope, I'll just say this. I hope a certain woman that's a huge fan of our show, and we still don't understand why, is watching. That's all I will say is I hope she's watching. If she's not.
Oh, no.
I will be sending her.
Oh my God!
Sending her this clip.
I think I'm going to have to put some kind of disclaimer up. All right, then I know where it's going.
I don't know if
imagine it's a northeastern city. Yes.
No,
all right.
That's actually not true. So that's good. You don't know. No one knows. You'll see next.
Oh, okay.
In his next top 5.
It's not, please come to Boston in the springtime.
For once, no, it's not.
I don't care if you're with Walt Bellamy and Willis Reed.
I'm sure there'll be references, but
we're coming back with the professor here on the Defo Show. This ought to be fun. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, who I would imagine you think steam will be coming out of Mayo's ears when he starts talking about Portnoy, who's not a big fan of anyway.
Yeah,
I mean highly successful, but I mean, he did it, in what you would have to say while spitting in the face of good taste.
That's actually a good.
So what's wrong with that,
Lubie? I mean, it wouldn't stop us.
No, not for 1 second. I mean, I was hoping you would notice you guys were doing a show out there. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
You said there was some radio show going on there, or seemed to be some radio show. Mayo took offense at that. It's 8:23. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? A $100 bettor made $10,000. A $500 bettor made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. A Degenerate Friday is underway. Our thanks to John Kajemi for joining us here on a Friday. You usually can catch John with his football input and analysis. And, he's also our golf analyst. That used to be the case in a lot of newspapers where the football beat writer during the offseason didn't bother covering the team because there was nothing going on of any significance or that anybody wanted you to know. And so they would end up covering golf or tennis. And so he also doubles as our golf writer. Now, this we do, and we bring on because we just like to sense, the trepidation of one Jack Namer as he realizes how close his license is. The broadcast is being suspended with the professor, who, and I was a little worried you were doing your Boston thing this week, Professor. And we have, the response has been enormous to your first 2 performances in the upgraded version of the Professor's. Well, it's a modern-day version of the Professor Power Rankings. It's the Professor's Big Board. But first of all, how are you? And did you have any anxiety at all about trying to eclipse the brilliance of your last 2 performances here on the show?
What the hell are you talking about my Boston thing? I don't have a Boston thing. My Boston thing is called telling the truth. Something you and your compatriots in mainstream media do not do. You lie.
Okay.
You cover up for Bill Belichick. You go to the Super Bowl and you kiss his ass instead of saying the truth, which is he's a rotten scumbag cheater. You cover up for the Celtics for 50 years of Red Auerbach fixing the league and then Danny Ainge coming in and getting Kevin Hale to violate league rules to the point where Minnesota loses their draft picks for like 5 years because they gave him Kevin Garnett for a warm bucket from the Marriott minibar. My Boston thing is just simply finally telling America the truth, which is that Boston sports are corrupt scumbags, all of whom deserve to be burned to the ground. I don't have a Boston thing. You guys
so that isn't this week's
show where you kissed Brian Flores' ass for an hour because of his lying, stupid lawsuit. Oh no, I didn't know we were supposed to be tanking that year. What's tanking? I've never heard of that. The only guy in sports who didn't know it exists. I have too much respect for the game for that. Give me money. Whatever.
Give me money.
Like the way you people cover Boston, it's the most amazing thing to me. They,
well,
talk about
could
false
be a future,
fake news.
Could be a future professorial, but when I heard that a certain, friend of the show who, may no longer want to be associated in name, image, or likeness with anything that we ever do in the future, including having a dinner at the Foundry, she was going to be particularly upset with this week's professorial or this week's Professor's Big Board. I immediately thought that here it comes.
I certainly hope not. I hope that's not true. We love all the people who have regular on the show. Speaking of which, I wanted to apologize last week because I did watch after I was off, and Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, whose segments I really enjoy, seemed to be a little upset that I made some comments about food, and that I made some comments about Guy Fieri. Thought I was perhaps encroaching on his territory. And I just wanted to sincerely apologize for that and tell him, in the future, I will not broach those subjects again. I will leave them exclusive for him. But I do have to say, if we are agreeing, and we seem to be agreeing, that ripping Guy Fieri is your territory, well, then you need to do your job a lot more often, because that little demon seed is going to drop another 500-seat crap on some unsuspecting city. And I suspect South Florida could very well be a target for him, because, he does do the South Beach Wine and Food Festival for Food Network every year down here. And I picture him, sitting backstage at that thing, doing lines that are an equal mix of cocaine and ground up flaming Cheetos, and thinking to himself, yeah, baby, Flavor Town. Let's take Cuban sandwiches and put them in a pork roll with donkey sauce. Yeah. So somebody needs to stand on the wall and let Guy Fieri know he is not welcome down here, so that we don't walk into the Hard Rock someday and find it smelling of Jolly Rancher flavored shots and donkey sauce. Because I don't know about you, Deef, but I don't want to deal with that.
Mayo would probably be more inclined to, heap praise upon Guy Fieri and hope that he turned us on to some advertising capital from that, barf bag, drink that he's pushing right now.
There you go.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. All right, let's get to it. The professor, ladies and gentlemen, the Gambling Gourmet is coming up to defend his honor. Although, you pretty much have.
I really respect his opinion. I will stay away from food. I am just saying, if it's going to be your job to protect South Florida against the likes of Guy Fieri, you need to do that more often.
All right. Well, I'm very curious now to see what you have for us this week, Professor. So the stage here on Ion Channel, until Jack, says that pull the plug, Amy, pull the plug, Brad, get this off, is all yours, my friend.
Defo, it is. There's been so much that's happened in the world of sports over the last couple of years. Both tragedy and triumph. And there are people, obviously, for example, every person who has ever played for a Boston franchise that I'm not personally a fan of, that I have said some pretty bad things about over the years.
No doubt.
But I also respect the history of sports, and I have a lot of reverence for sports, as irreverent as I can be from time to time. That's meant for comedy. There are times where we have to celebrate, people who have been greatness. And one of those is coming up. It is time to give his devil his due, and that is what the big board is all about this week.
Oh, geez, I know what it is now. Yeah.
So I present to you the big board of rat-face victory. We only have, I believe, 2 regular season games left to appreciate the man, and it is time for me to pay the devil his due, to pay homage, and say it is a time for celebration with his last game against your Cuse coming up tomorrow.
Yes.
And say,
no doubt a burial for the Orange. Yes.
Congratulations, Ratface, on a great career, and we want to celebrate some of your big moments, and that's what the big board is all about this week, is paying homage, Defo.
The big board of rat-face victories with the professor, ladies and gentlemen, here on Ion Channel.
We didn't give this one a number because it's such a pinnacle moment in his life and his career. It was worth celebrating, but we wanted to. We couldn't really qualify it, so we're just going to, at the start, do a special one and point out that the biggest career in Coach K's life is his victory over Val's. Congratulations, Coach.
Holy crap, Yastrzemski. Yeah, what is that?
Congratulations, Coach Krzyzewski. And how the hell was going on with the guards on Ellis Island the day his ancestors came through and came to America? It's like Irish and Jews who had their names changed to Smith and Jones because there was one extra N in the letter, but somehow this got through. Like, what was everybody there Polish that day? Everybody was working. All the names that got changed immigrating to America, but somehow this worked? I don't get it, Keith. Maybe it's just me.
That's a good starting point. I didn't think you could do it, Professor, but you're on the roll. Go ahead. Continue.
All right, let's go to number 5. And that is, we had, sort of a Duke's custom announcer switch, and it came with something really rare, and that is Jay Billis's wife's terrible art. I don't know if anybody's ever gone and looked at Jay Billis's website, but all he does there is hawk his wife's terrible art, which we've shown some examples here. Birds and eggplants and barns and berries, which I don't know about you. That looks like something you'd find at an art fair that a woman drags you to, one of those art shows where 3/4 of the people are rocking terrible turquoise jewelry. I'm going to say Wendy Billis' art will fit right in there. And somehow Coach Ratface never became associated with Wendy Billis' art, despite Jay Billis' best efforts. So, congratulations, Coach, that you somehow didn't get with this, didn't end up hawking this online or in an infomercial. It's amazing to me because Jay Billis has made every attempt to make that a side industry. And you didn't end up associated with it, so I would claim that as a gigantic victory.
Jay Billis, and your screen freeze there, Lee, what's going on with that? Because it's not changing your graphic. Okay.
Versus bad and mine's bad, and now yours is bad.
Oh yeah, okay.
Worst freaking moment possible.
All right. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we, roll in a couple of very important messages here, see if we can correct this problem, because we do want to get the full impact of the professor's big board of rat face figures here on the Defo Show on On Channel, and back with the professor in a moment. Now that. It's 8:36.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-875.
Francois, back. You're not putting all 30 zone. Francois.
Listen to Canadians. We are good people. We have vacationing on the beach. We bring our and you know, the Canadians and I personally and she's tired of the crap. You're not losing that you became a fat of a pig. Everything that I just say is today. You're going to try some people especially out of the stadium. We come here as good people, friendly people, nice people. We don't need you to speak like you speak, Jeffrey, the fat ass Deforrest.
The Defo Show, featuring Lubie. We now turn to the Defo Show.
That was some of our fan mail when we were doing radio here in South Florida. Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. I think we've unfrozen Lubie, at least for the time being. And the professor's big board of rat-faced victories was already on like item number 4, which I would imagine he wanted to picture one of those eggplants that was drawn by Jay Billis's wife. But now Jay Billis, hardly John Lennon. Oh, there you go. But, you were kind of implying, Professor, and welcome back. It looks like we've got that thing that, Jay Billis
It's better
is
now. Yes, write it out.
Yeah. Hawking, as if he was doing an infomercial for, some joint pain reliever. He's hawking this artwork of his wife, who is, to Billis what Yoko Ono was, I guess, to John Lennon, just a royal pain in the ass without a lot of talent. Professor, are you back with us? I see the big board is reflecting the Jay Billis bad art graphic.
Yes, and I wouldn't say like a pain reliever. I would say like a sham wow. All that was missing was
last seen at the Winter Olympics, by the way, the sham wow. Did you see the great usage? All of those guys with the brooms, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Curling.
The Russians were actually penalized for using the sham wow because it gave them an illegal advantage in the curling competition. Very much Belichickian in that regard.
Yes.
I had never thought about comparing Belichick to Vladimir Putin, but it's apt. It kind of works.
That's a stretch right now. All right, that's number 4. Jay Billis bad art. So we'll continue the Professor's big board of rat-faced victories,
and that takes us to number 4, Defo, which I think is really one of the most obvious and clear victories of Coach Ratface's career, and that is his 4-year win over male pattern baldness. Are you ready, boys and girls? Let's count the hair plugs. 1 hair plug, 2 hair plug, 3 hair plug, 4 hair plugs, Come on, Coach. I mean, really. Who do you think you're here? This is what you looked like 40 years ago. This head that you were sporting when you showed up at Duke at like age 32 in 1980. And now in 2022, your hair is still jet black. Your hairline. This is the worst attempt to trick America since LeBron did that terrible Amy Schumer movie where he had a custom headband made that was 5 times normal size, thinking America wouldn't notice his hairline had mysteriously moved 4 inches forward. I'm sorry. A lot of wins over the years, but none more clear than your victory over male pattern baldness. Because, Cy Sperling may own the company, but you clearly have been keeping it in business for the last 40 years.
Only Bill Self or Tony Kornheiser. All right, that's number 4. I didn't realize there were 6 of these. So continue, bonus. Professor. Yes.
Number 3. The ultimate in Coach K honor wins, which proves the maxim that has defined Coach K's career, which is if at first you don't succeed, send one of your bench players in to punch Tyler Hansbrough in the face until his nose breaks and he bleeds everywhere on national television. This is one of the few I could actually get 100% behind throughout Coach K's Duke career. I mean, as much as I have liked some Duke players, punching Tyler Hansbrough in the face really isn't a bad policy. I have no problem with our All-Stars being savagely beaten if you can't play defense against them.
Excellent. Yeah, no, a lot of people probably would agree with you on that. Tyler Hansbrough was a pain in the ass. All right, that's number 3 on the Professor's big board of rat-faced victories.
Of course, Defo, we know about some surgeries that has been required to take the course of his career, that coaching has been physically very difficult on his body. And we want to congratulate him on his health after the most serious of those procedures, the one he had done 4 or 5, perhaps 6 years ago, and that is having Dick Vitale's head removed from his ass. That's really not an easy thing to have done. Particularly after it's been lodged up there for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
ahead.
I mean, that's serious, real surgery there to get rid of that, Defo.
Yes.
But somehow he managed to do it and move Jay Billis right up in there. So congratulations, Coach K, on your managing to recover from that procedure.
And that's titled the Dickey-vectomy. I can't wait to see number one, and I can't wait for Lubie to send this off to a certain lowly and talented one. So go
I
ahead.
think we know what number one is, Defo, and that is we have to flash back all the way to 1994, a pivotal moment. Grant Hill and Bobby Hurley had just left the program. It was after a national championship game, and Coach K was in the middle of a year where Duke was going 500 overall and finishing last in the ACC regular season. When all of college basketball was hit with a serious issue that would last for going on 30 years. And Coach K conquered it, and that is congratulations, Coach K, on your history. Achieving victory over fake back injury. No man in history has been plagued with as many serious fake injuries as Coach K has. Somehow, for 28 years, the man has managed to time and time again fall down with fake injuries every time Duke has been anywhere beneath expectations, only to rise once again before kind of, I guess, falling for the last time on this when last year in the middle of COVID, after they lost by like 30 to Michigan State in the Classic, where his fake back, once again, flared up again. And he had to declare that not only should they not play out of conference games anymore, that he was going to have to retire because fake back injuries had finally felled the giant of a man in Coach Ratface.
Mayo's got to feel like the Chambers brothers did after Jimi Hendrix took the stage. Brilliant, again, Professor. I don't know how you could have possibly even, come close to the first couple of weeks of the big board, but if this continues, we won't have to work anymore. Well, we'll just be, producers of the Professor Show. It'll be awesome. Tremendous job, my friend, and thanks so much. I'm blown away. I really am. That was absolutely fantastic. I'm sure Leslie's going to love it.
Yes.
And we'll have to send one to John Feinstein as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and make sure they get a chance to view your thoughts on Coach K's final season, the farewell tour. The big board of rat-faced victories. Professor, excellent job. And we'll talk to you again next week. I don't know how you did it this time, but you did it.
Okay, Dave, you guys have a great one, and you enjoy your trip to Vegas there for the first week of March.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to need
we'll have to
some
talk
games.
About that.
Was that you, by the way, that had $1.10 on the 23-team parlay? I know how you love the parlays. Yeah.
That was me. I'm betting 23-team parlays.
You do 3 teams.
Who took this bet, though? I mean, how could they do anything but lose? They're going to get $1.10, not even cab fare. I mean, the first eighth of a mile isn't even paid for. And, you're risking the house losing $532,000.
Well, it's crazy. We haven't talked about it, and we can do it in a future episode when we have a little more time. But the competition that has come about because of the proliferation of these gambling apps all around the country gives the players an advantage they haven't enjoyed really ever. It's historic because there's so much competition out there now.
Yeah.
Books are having to do some pretty wild stuff to gain customers. And, maybe that's something we'll talk about as we get a little bit closer to March Madness, because I'm sure there'll be all kinds of specials available. And, players should absolutely take advantage of them.
Does Iona win a game?
Not in Florida because we're clownish that our government can't get it straight. Thanks, Governor DeSantis. You can pass bills to make sure parents are supposed to rat out gay 6th graders, but you can't work out a sportsbook app. Like, what the hell? I mean, which is
this is a guy that like anything goes. Ron DeSantis. I mean,
that's
this is
right.
Yeah,
we can keep any business open. You can have 150 employees positive for COVID and cause a wave that hasn't been seen since the Black Plague. But we can't have sportsbook apps in the state of Florida.
No, that can harm the people, and it's goes against the graces of God. All right, thanks, Professor. We have to run, but thanks so much for being with us. That was brilliant.
You have a good one, Chief.
All right,
You're
the
best.
professor.
He's classic, boy. God,
I didn't think it was doable. I really didn't. You know, I mean, I've sort of been in the quasi-comedy business my whole life here, and that was fantastic. Another brilliant, a shame we got stuck there in the middle, but we managed to make amends, and we're going to do more as we'll continue here with the Gambling Gourmet on a Degenerate Friday, a Portnoy sighting, and I would imagine, a critical review of the review that Portnoy had about the pizza spot, which is it not Mayo's favorite place to get pizza? He loves these guys, man. He absolutely loves his place. He loves the pizzas.
What's great?
He's got this New Haven thing going. And Portnoy acknowledged that they were very much. He's very highly critical. Is he very highly critical? He's highly critical of New Haven pizza, especially New Haven style, a pizza, or whatever it's called. And so I thought he gave a pretty fair assessment. If he didn't like one particular thing, is he not entitled to? It's his review, right?
Yes, he's allowed to do that.
I didn't like the thing with flapping in the wind there a little bit.
That's a stupid ass criteria. He's allowed to have it, but that's a weird criteria.
I got the impression Mayo's going to hammer this guy.
He should. He should.
All right.
I hope.
All right, we're coming back with that. The Gambling Gourmet joins us next. Some big races coming up over the weekend as well. And, I don't know. Maybe it was Mayo who put up $1.10. He likes to bet a little to win a lot. That's the Ed Kaplan theory. Betting $1.10 to win $532,000, Lubie?
That's a move. Yeah, that's a win.
He had to hit 23 games, most of which were against the spread.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are you kidding me?
These kids do that, though. I mean, my son Jesse, his friend had like a 15-team parlay that he cashed, and he had like 20 cents on it, and it ended up paying him, like 40, 50 grand, something like that. All right, we're coming back with the Gambling Gourmet, and we'll take that to the wire here on the Defo Show on Ion Channel. Great to be with you. Google the Defo Show. A lot of good stuff this week. I really think we had a great week there, Lubie, including the professor's professorial there about, as he calls him, Ratface, Coach K, distinguished coach. There's a great tribute to Coach K by John Feinstein, part of the archives of this week's show. Yes. And, of course, our Megan Imbert interview, still one of the more explosive things that I've heard, with the finger right in the face of Dan Snyder saying, "You did it."
Yep.
You're, a sweat hog pig, Dan. You shouldn't be allowed to own a football team or do these kind of things, perpetuate these kind of atrocities on the women that work for you. All right, back with the Gambling Gourmet in a moment here. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Now that.
The time.
Oh, good. He doesn't have anything disgusting to eat in front of him this week. That's good. Maybe that's coming up. It's 8:52. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. And a lot of people like to bet soccer. You are looking at the Euro.
I'm a soccer fan. I spent part of my junior year abroad at the London School of Economics and Political Science. How I ended up...
It's a little sophisticated for people that are on our show.
To be on
the School of Economics.
My career has taken strange...
Yes,
and mainly downward turns, but it's okay. I'm very.
You can live with it. Just be who you are.
I am living my best life.
Burying yourself with this show.
Betting my worst bets.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz here on Ion Channel, Jack Namer's fine organization. I think Jack doesn't have to worry about having his broadcasting license suspended and or just flat out taken away, thrown in the shredder after the professorial that we had. Now, we're joined here, and he was mentioned, your name was mentioned, A Clockwork Orange, Mike Mayo, a couple of times during that whole dissertation by the professor. He says you're soft on Guy Fieri. Soft on Guy Fieri because there is the possibility. Does Fieri have a place down here, Guy Fieri? Does he already have a restaurant interest in South Florida?
Good morning, Defo. Good morning, Lubie. I hope you can hear me and it's not.
Yeah, you sound great. You look good too. Yeah.
Excellent. I just took a shower and a shave because, this is video, baby, and
Yes.
we got to be looking sharp. And it is, you're right. I don't know what you, who followed Hendrix at Woodstock? I'm not old enough.
I think it
for
was
that,
the
Defo,
Chambers
but
brothers. It was
the
like
Chambers
Janis Joplin
brothers.
opened, Jimi Hendrix,
Jesus Christ, that's
and then the
Yeah.
Chambers brothers, which is a song
I
very
got no
relatable to the
shot.
show.
He comes with graphics now and props, and I'm just like
You've
I'm
had
just a
props
poor
though. You had
schmuck.
that Skyline Chili.
Yes, I am about
was
to
ugly.
launch a few
Prop.
surprises, but let's start off with and I hope Professor doesn't take this the wrong way. I have no problem with him discussing from some food related topics. That's fine.
He's very knowledgeable in this area. He owns
Oh
a
yeah,
restaurant.
I mean the
Yeah.
Foundry is a great place. They have a
Good
great burger
spot,
there. I
yeah.
put it in my top 10 burgers in Broward
Oh,
all
nice.
the time. Yeah, and
nice.
back when I had such things when I was writing for the Sun Sentinel, and but the bottom line is, what he happened to do last week is steal my thunder because I had teed up the whole thing about Guy Fieri and how he could be peddling this swill, this Bud Light crap.
Oh yeah.
soda
Oh,
water.
okay.
So, but that was the only thing. He's allowed to. Yeah, and again, he's brilliant. I mean, the whole thing with Krzyzewski buying some vowels, and it's great. I mean, the man needs Pat Sajak.
He didn't even have to mention Grayson Allen, and he still had 6
Yes, you didn't
showstoppers.
mention
Yeah.
Allen. That's true.
Yeah.
It's good. But all right, so to get to Guy Fieri, to answer your question, yeah, he has what's called Chicken Guy, which is a chain of fast food chicken tenders, and there's one at the Aventura Mall food court. And I have
Yeah.
never been there. And it's with a choice of sauce, including his infamous donkey sauce. And I don't want to know how he produces his donkey sauce. I don't want to try the donkey sauce. I don't want to see the donkey sauce.
Donkey, as in
Yeah.
an ass. Yeah.
Donkey, because that's one of his. I don't know. That's one of his shticks.
Okay.
He's the mayor of Flavortown, and he creates this special donkey sauce. I don't know why, but Chicken Guy is a chain, and I haven't tried it. I'm not the hugest chicken. Well, actually, I like some chicken tenders. There's a place called PDQ that's pretty good. That's a
Yes, they make
local
a really
chain.
Yeah.
good.
They do a good job.
But my friend, the Burger Beast, Seth Gonzalez, whose opinion I respect when it comes to matters of elementary, like elementary school cafeteria food, because Seth has the palate of a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, and
Yeah.
he went to Chicken Guy in Orlando and he liked it a lot. Now he didn't go to the Aventura one, but Chicken Guy basically so far is only Guy Fieri's only entry into the South Florida's food scene. Thank God, because if anybody's read the one of the most famous takedown reviews that the New York Times critic Pete Wells has ever done is when Guy Fieri opened up a restaurant in Times Square.
Yes.
And it's still, if you just Google Guy Fieri New York Times review, it'll come up. It's like an open letter to Guy Fieri, just wondering if he's ever actually tasted any of the food that he serves at the restaurant, because it's just so fucking god awful bad. So there's no
Is the
new-
place still open? Because that was a while ago he opened it.
Oh no, that's long gone.
Long gone,
He
shuttered.
buried
huh?
that
Wow.
place.
He
but,
blamed the pandemic, no doubt.
But the bottom line is, even though Guy Fieri hasn't, sickened us with his many more of his restaurants, and I'm being unfair. Chicken Guy might be a good place. I have no idea yet. But he is gracing us with his actual presence, which I'm sure Professor is shocked and horrified by. The news this week was that Guy Fieri actually just bought a home, a $5 million residence in Lake Worth Beach. And I guess because of that fat new contract he got from Food Network, $100 million plus, everybody
Vibes,
who,
like just dropping a bucket there.
even though he's lived in Northern California, that northern wine country, I think in near Sonoma for a long time, he's not, I'm sure, going to give up his house there, but he's going to establish permanent residency in Florida and South Florida to gain all the tax advantages that the ultra wealthy like to enjoy when they come here. Basically, no state income tax.
I like the way you weave in some political commentary about the rich and the divide and the human condition.
This is
really heavy stuff here.
This is why I'm the
man from
gambling
Tufts. Yeah.
gourmet. And one more thing to sicken the professor, and maybe he could make a chart next week.
He's not a fan, though. He would agree with you. It sounds like you're not a big guy.
No, but I'm saying that it's going to sicken him to hear this. That at this week's South Beach Wine and Food Festival, which is going on right now, and it goes on throughout the weekend. Not only is Guy Fieri was hosting an event, I think it was last night, about the top. He hosted like a diners, drive-ins, and dives theme night, and it had a lot of different.
That was a good show. No, did you like?
No,
that
I
show?
like it.
I did. Yeah,
I actually happen to like it. And I know people in restaurants that have been featured on it, and they sing his praises, and they say he's a really nice guy. And it's obviously helped their businesses tremendously. So besides hosting that event last night, he's actually being honored. Every year they have this tribute dinner where they honor a chef and then a couple of other luminaries, usually in the wine world. This year's tribute dinner honoree is one Guy Fieri.
All right.
And I guess, they've run down the list and everybody else has already been honored. And I heard that the creator of
Have you ever, has your name been mentioned in that regard? No,
I'm a nobody from nowhere. No, these are big deal now. Like past honorees have included Anthony Bourdain and Marcus Samuelson, who has, he's that chef who was born in Ethiopia, raised in Sweden. He now has that restaurant down in Overtown called Red Rooster. And but all the luminaries in the culinary world have been honored, Thomas Keller and things like that. But they finally tick down the list and run out of people, and so they are honoring the mayor of Flavortown tomorrow. And I was asking one of the chefs that's going to be involved. I said, "So who's preparing the donkey sauce and how?" I don't.
You know what? I remember, and I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but he had a place, and you're probably familiar with it. What is it? The North End in Boston, where all these great restaurants are.
Yeah.
It's okay. So he goes in there, and they're making like lobster ravioli from scratch. With like a ton of just fresh Maine lobster being stuffed in there. And he's in the kitchen there. And I can't remember the name of the joint, but it was supposedly like a classic place in that area, a bit of a hole in the wall. But nonetheless, I mean, resoundingly popular. And I always thought if I ever travel back to Boston, I want to go to this joint. I don't know if you're familiar with the place I'm talking about. It was featured on his show. Yeah.
I don't know which one. I don't know if it was Deli Catch, because that's like a little hole in the wall place up in the North End where they prepare everything.
I remember it being kind of a smallish place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what was the theme of the show. Diners, dives, and whatever it was. Dumpsters.
So I think if you go to that website, they have a list of every place that's been featured, and I know some places are still reaping the benefits even years and years later, like Sonny's famous steak hoagies in Hollywood, which is a famous cheesesteak place and a little hole in the wall, cash only, second generation. John Nigro runs it, and he bakes his fresh bread, his baked hoagie rolls every morning. It's a fantastic place. And, he was first featured on it over 10 years ago, and Guy still stops in when he comes into town and says hello and picks up a cheesesteak. And so, he does some nice follow-up.
Seems like a decent guy. He really does.
No. And also Grandpa's, even though like Grandpa's has changed ownership, but they're still reaping the benefits of Guy Fieri featured the old rendition of Grandpa's before it got closed down and sold and remodeled and a little bit revamped, and now more of a bagel, New York bagel deli place as opposed to a classic South Florida diner. But people still come in from all over the country because Grandpa's is listed on the diners and drive-ins and dives.
That's how we found it down here. We had never heard of it, even though it was an institution. My mom loved that show. And we started going once a month when I was like in college. When I would come down, we'd go there all the time because of that show.
So, and Guy Fieri is not a total douche. He is a douche for taking the Bud Light money, because that's just, when you get over $100 million, can't you be a little more selective? I mean, here I am, my wealth is deep into the five figures now. And, I
Well,
only
what you hit a bet over the week?
no, but the bottom line is,
Put you
I'm
over
not just
10?
going to go out and shill for any schlock joint. Like the only places that I want to line up as sponsors
You're
are
very
places that
true to that, I will say.
are places that I would actually go to and recommend, even if they weren't paying me. And the fact that I can get them to pay me is just like gravy on top. But
Oh, it's always good. Yeah.
But you know, like if Bud Light came to me and say, "Hey, we'll give you $5 million to promote this swill," I would say, "Where do I sign the check?"
Exactly.
You know?
Come on, let's be honest about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now let's get to real douches. And one Mr. David Portnoy.
all right.
And
This is weird because you sent me the review. I knew you were not going to be happy with it. He gave the pizza spot a 7.4, and he sort of like very cynically in Mayo type fashion said, "Yeah, it looked like there was some radio show going on there." As if like you guys.
No,
were
no.
like
I got a big kick out of that, and I just want to show the viewers.
David
here.
Portnoy, of course, the guy behind Barstool.
Barstool Sports. He calls himself El Presidente, Stool Presidente for Barstool.
And you guys
Presidente.
are having lunch.
I call him
doing a show at the
I
pizza
call
spot.
him. Yeah, I call him, instead of Stool Presidente, which is one of his handles, I call him Tool Presidente because he's kind of a little bit of a tool. He represents that whole bro culture, testosterone fueled troglodytes, the ones that enable a culture that harasses women and puts together cheerleader. I mean, I'm not blaming him, but that whole culture.
He
what
skewered
Megan,
that poor girl, Samantha Ponder, who does a nice job. You know, she's been on the college football sidelines, now hosting an NFL show on ESPN. Does a nice job and makes a good presentation. He skewered this woman. I mean, the things that he published about her were, just outrageous.
He has a little bit of a misogynist streak, they say, and he's now having a Me Too moment where in the past few months there's been some investigations published by this insider.com, which is
there always is. Yeah,
major.
there's something ugly there.
Alleging that he had, also harassed and sexually, was inappropriate with a number of women, and without getting into, whether the allegations are true or false, his response was not just denying it, but now suing Insider for defamation. And everybody knows a public figure has a very high bar for libel and defamation suits.
Look at the things that are said about Lubie and me. I mean,
most of those are true. So you can't defame somebody if you say you're a degenerate gambler and you need to just lay off the Monday card at Parks. You degenerate. You got to.
Well, no, I mean, words like "sick fuck" come up, which I mean, that's when it starts to cross the line.
So anyway, Portnoy. Originally one of his side gigs and helped build his brand while Barstool Sports was being built up was he does these pizza reviews. He goes around the country. He's originally a Jewish. I mean, he's a Jewish guy from the outskirts of northern suburbs of Boston. And he was a Boston guy. Then when Barstool blew up, he moved to New York. He bought a place in South Beach now, and his parents live in the West Palm Beach area. So he does spend a lot of time in South Florida, and he goes to pizza places around South Florida. He went to one in West Palm Beach last week, like just some regular, pie joint, and he got a slice, and he gave it an 8.1 or 8.2, which is why I was a little bit taken aback by his score of the pizza spot, which in my professional expert estimation is, if not the best, one of the best pizzas.
What would you give it on that same scale?
If I was on his scale, and the thing is, he ordered wrong. We'll get into all this. I just want to say, well, pizza spot in my mind.
I like the fact that you're critical of the way the guy ordered the
ordered
pizza.
wrong.
Yeah. I mean, you're really dissecting this thing.
If you're a guy. All right, first of all, let's just see. I was actually tickled pink that he noticed, and this is the screenshot.
There you guys
Portnoy.
are. Like, I mean, you can't really make it out that well, but you guys are in the background.
You can see Lubie's bald spot.
Oh yeah. Lubie is, and then
he's
got a big slice of pizza in his mouth.
And then Jim Sarney is sitting there next to me.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm hunched over like Harry Carey,
leaning over a hot mic. Okay.
And that's and again, this is in his review that he does about 3-minute reviews. That is disseminated on all his platforms. He has 4 million Instagram followers, 2.7 million Twitter followers, a YouTube channel that has 600,000 subscribers just for the pizza reviews. So this guy, he has some reach.
Big. Yeah.
And but when he was doing this, usually he has a crew that's with him that does the videoing. He was a solo guy. He was like doing his own videoing, doing a selfie, and he just did a little quick scan. He said, there's some sort of radio show going on over there. He gave a
He
little.
didn't recognize that it was the great Mike Mayo with Mike
the
Mayo's Lunchbox on
lunchbox,
WWNN and their fine FM affiliates.
I mean, but we
the
got
soon to be sold WWNN, where
we
we don't even know. We'll be wandering around the streets. Got a radio show? Anybody want it?
But hey, it's nice to get that fleeting moment of worldwide fame for the Lunchbox radio show.
Did you get any people that contacted you and said, "Hey, I saw you on Portnoy's pizza thing"?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Okay. So, but all right, back to his pizza review. So he's a guy who apparently his shtick is, first of all, it's completely a misnomer because he bills himself as one bite. Like everybody knows the rules, one bite, and then
he shoveled the whole slice,
and then
in
he
his face.
devours the whole
Yeah.
slice. Like he'll take one bite,
shoveled
talk
it.
a little,
I mean,
and then so
he had cheese on his forehead, like Lubie did with that crab sandwich at the wharf.
Anybody who's a critic knows when it comes to pizza, you got to eat a lot of the pizza. You got to eat the end, which is called the cornicione, where it's kind of like hits the that little
Are there
fold at the
fundamentals?
end.
Like, is there a list of
crust?
fundamentals that you?
No,
follow?
and he actually does it. I mean, when
Yeah.
you want the first bite, you taste it.
That's it.
How's the cheese? The quality of the cheese? How's the sauce? Is it tangy? Is it sweet? Do they put sugar in it? Everybody has their own subjective measures. The undercarriage, what he calls it, the underneath, does it have a good char on it? Is it raw and doughy? And then also the end of the crust. How is the chew? Does it have a little salt in the dough? All these little things, and everything is subjective. But I happen to think Pizza Spot in my world, it's like an 8.8, which is like it's really high. Anything over 9, they call it life changing. I don't know. I love Wade. I don't know if any pizza is life changing except for the ones that I had growing up in Brooklyn at Deforrest, which Portnoy actually gave Deforrest like a 9.1, 9.2. But that's gone way downhill because the original owner, Dominic, he's retired. He retired when he hit his 80s, and now they franchised it. And any place, once it becomes like a franchisee and it's just not one artisan making the pizzas. And that's what I love about Pizza Spot. It's just Wade is like making every pizza with his own hands.
This is a place in Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah, the Pizza Spot, one of our sponsors.
Mama Pop place is great.
Yeah, 601
I liked it a
Southwest
lot. I really
12th
did.
Avenue.
Yeah.
And again, that Connecticut, New Haven style up pizza, which means it's thinner and it comes out usually well done. Some people call it burnt, but it's actually charred in this wood-fired brick oven. Now,
you're very defensive about it.
Well,
I know. I sensed it in the tone of your text, which you rarely can. It's not like you wrote all caps or anything like that, but I just sensed that you were not thrilled because he was basing this critique. He thought it was good all the way around, except it like was blowing in the wind a little bit.
He uses one of his big shticks is, besides the one bite that's not actually one bite, he devours. But and again, when he likes a thing, he'll devour the whole slice. And in this case, he actually took the second one because his big thing is flop. Like he does, for some reason, he wants a pizza that's stiff. And to me, first of all, he didn't order it
very
well.
phallic of him. Yeah, I mean, who knows?
He didn't order it well done. Like two things. If you want something that comes out a little, with no flop, you tend to order it well done because Wade usually makes his pizza.
I mean, it's not like it dropped on the floor half the slice.
No, and again, growing up in Brooklyn, like all the great slice joints had
dripping. Like
they flop down, and that's why you fold it. And then when you fold it, it stays up, and it stays up. Now,
I wasn't a big fan of folding a pizza, though. Were you?
Oh,
I didn't like folding them. Yeah,
I'm a folder. Yeah, I'm a folder.
No, I like that cheese and oil dripping off my chin, kind of a thin,
I'm a blotter
slice with a good crust.
I would blot my pizza with napkins to get all the excess oil off, and then I would fold it. So I'm a blotter and a folder.
You lost me, Michael.
Well,
I
whatever.
mean, I had great respect for your taste.
Like you have any taste. You're eating meatloaf like 3 days a week and pea soup the
It's
other.
turkey meatloaf, and it's very well made by the people at a local supermarket.
So if I may continue,
I consider it more healthy than like a regular meatloaf. I don't know.
So like if Portnoy is so concerned about flop, first of all, he should be ordering medium because the smaller pies tend to be, they hold up
they
better
hold together
because
better.
the
Yeah.
longer it's just going to flop. It's just gravity and physics right there.
He should have got a small cheese pizza.
He should have got a small cheese, well done, and then it would have been well into the 8s. And then Wade and Reese, we'd never see him again because there'd be lines out the door. And
so maybe it's a good thing.
Well, that's why I said it's a blessing in disguise. Now, I have a tip from Mr. Portnoy. Now, I went to this crazy place near where you used to live, and near the Foundry. that heavenly pizza.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Did
that
you
guy's
see
good, man.
this?
Yeah,
Where you come for
he's
the
a real
pizza.
religious guy, but he's sincere.
Oh, well, and Jesus is Lord is right there on the box,
And he's saving your pepperoni,
and it
at
says
half price.
it's not about the pizza. So you come for the pizza and you stay
Yeah.
for the resurrection, and then I would suggest to Mr. Portnoy that if you want no flop, refrigerate your pizza overnight.
Oh, there you go. You do have a prop.
And here we have the plain cheese pizza.
So that's from Heavenly Pizza.
From Heavenly Pizza, and
right.
look at this. You refrigerate it all night, no flop. And here, let me take it out.
Did you heat it up?
I'm not recording anything.
Oh,
Look at that, man.
This is
Beautiful.
great. I love this.
How would you rate that?
that?
Oh, you're going to do the whole thing? Wow.
I need the whole spice. That's the way you do it.
Wondering how he's going to get involved, and even be in the ballpark of the professor, but he does it every week. This Mike Mayo. What's your opinion? I happen to like their pizza. I think it's good.
Is it good? I haven't had it. I drive by every time I do stuff with the foundry.
It's not overwhelming, but it's good.
Okay.
What I told the woman last night who wouldn't let me in with my mask on, and that's a story we're saving for the lunchbox. That whole craziness about.
Okay, all right.
Did you see the sign that they will not let you in if you
with
have
a mask on? That's kind of who owns the place? Ron DeSantis?
Wait, but
no,
what is
it's just one. We're going to
is
talk
that?
about this
Is
later
It's a
on the
religious
lunchbox.
thing. I mean, what is it?
I don't know what the
What
fuck
does
it
that
is,
mean?
Depot. It's
So you
fucking
being
insanity.
is
I mean,
bad
like
to
if
you?
it's no. I thought I sent you the photo of the sign that says
You
no
may have.
masks
I don't know.
inside.
I was half
And then
out
one of
about
them
that.
is like there's like 3 plates on a thing that says no masks allowed inside, and it
No
says
masks allowed? What does that mean?
if you're wearing a mask, call us or we'll come outside and take your order and give you your order. And they have some tables outside, and then it
Weird.
says but then that's a nice
On
one.
orders from Jesus? I mean, where did this come from?
And then the third, so that second sign is like kind of nice. It's like saying, okay, we'll be amenable to serving you even though you're wearing a mask. And then the third sign says, no mask. If you don't like it, there's a pizza place across the street, which is true. Pasquale's is right across.
You know what?
the street.
And that's a good spot.
Pasquale's.
That's a good
Yeah,
spot across
Pasquale's
the
is
street.
great.
A hidden gem there. Right?
Anyway, my review of Heavenly Pizza. The cheese is like pedestrian. The sauce is way too salty, and the crust that I had last night, it was just kind of a doughy, yucky mess. So I give it a 6.2. 6.2.
Okay, I think that's
Pizza.
fair, Mike Mayo. I would probably agree with you. It's a little bit maybe above average, but I mean, the guy was always very nice to the Mustang. She's a big fan of this guy that runs that place. So we don't go there that often though, because there happens to be just an absolute plethora of pizza joints right in that area. That one across the street's very good. Umberto's. It also makes a real good pizza, supposedly from Long Island. I guess it's the same place.
They've been around for a while.
I've been in there, and they actually they have pretty good deals on dinner that are surprisingly good, and good portions in there. So it's a good spot. All right, so Portnoy, you're saying Portnoy was off. But it's not like he wrote some, or gave some scathing indictment.
I thought,
it
he
was
himself
pretty well recommended. I mean, people I think would go there on his advice.
Here's the thing I don't get. Like he himself says, "Oh, I grade New Haven style pizza on a tougher scale because he loves New Haven pizza so much," which makes no sense to me. Because if
then
you
he
like
didn't
a
know how
pie,
to order it. See,
well,
but
then the other thing, but the thing is, if you're going to give some mediocre slice joint up in Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, and 8.1 or 8.2 when you're drunk on a Sunday, you can't be just giving a lower score because it's the different style of pizza. Like you got to have a consistent scale. And to me, he used words like it tastes great, and he said very good slice. So I would think those things, and just because
I
it
would have
came
ut
out
it higher,
a little floppier, I think that should be in the 8s. But you know what? Food is subjective, and this spares Wade and Reese from just being constantly overworked and a message.
Overwhelmed. Yeah.
The funny part is, I'm sure he'll get some bounce from it this weekend, but they're going on a 1-week hiatus because every 3 months they take a week off because that's the way they are. They have a good quality of life, and actually Reese has to go up to Connecticut and do some family business every 3 months. So they're going to be closed all next week from Monday through the following. They'll reopen on that Tuesday, March, whatever it is, the 8th. So it's funny because if a lot of Portnoy fans are in the area are going to come reaching out, they're going to find it's closed. So
well, they're going to figure the review shut them down. If it hadn't been so, giving, they might have been in business for the next 50 years, with an overwhelming crowd there at all times. All right, we're going to come back in just a few minutes here. We're going to get
We'll talk a little Megan
Gambling
stuff.
Gourmets. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things on the table here, and we'll come back and take you up till about 9:30 here this morning on the East Coast with the Gambling Gourmet. Mike Mayo back with more in a moment with the Gambling Gourmet. Now that
The time.
it's 9:19.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
All right, so
Here's
you have
my
the poem. Let's do it.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I got DQ'd from the late double. Sorry, no champagne or caviar for you.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, ladies and
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
welcome back to the show on this Degenerate Friday. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, I on channel. You can Google the Defo Show and find the archives of all the shows, including the professor's last three professorials, which were one more exceedingly brilliant than the next. You have another slice of this thing you're going to tell here on the show, Mike Mayo?
No, now we have the pizza spot.
Oh, that's the pizza spot?
You can
This
see
is
it.
the
Oh, hold that up again, though, because it didn't fall apart like
Yes,
it did.
you
'Cause,
can see
it was
the
like,
whole
gale force winds out there also.
Yeah, do the
when
thing.
Portnoy was doing the
So
thing. Yeah.
this is the leftover sausage and
Now, was that
mushroom
cold, or
pie.
did you heat that up?
No, this is completely cold because the
All
only
right.
way to eat pizza for breakfast is cold pizza. Now, this
I
is
don't
the-
agree. I throw it in the toaster oven,
This is
and it
again
revives the
because
flavors.
there's a lot of ingredients loaded on here. So yeah, it's drooping a little even when it's refrigerated.
Well,
It's,
it's
Well, I
heavy.
mean, it
there's
looks
a-
like
there's a-
something a lot of our guys are familiar with. That
yes,
syndrome.
when my tongue
Yeah.
stick out because I'm So
We were thinking something else. All right, here we go. This is the pizza spot, Mike Mayo, the Gambling
It's
Gourmet.
great. I had it the other day. It's a really.
But
and
we know
what's
you love the
good-
place, so of course you're going to say it's
Oh,
fantastic.
but they put a lot of toppings. Like that's why it's drooping. Like they,
Yeah.
unlike places that are chintzy with toppings,
Yeah.
mushrooms you usually can
Oh,
count.
they
them.
don't mess around. You're right.
They hammer the toppings. Of course, it's going to droop. It's heavy. Like I'm glad it droops because that means they're not chintzing me out of toppings. Like I thought it was great.
All right, what do you think, Mike Mayo? What are you going to say about this one?
no, the cheese is obviously good quality because you
Yeah,
can tell just by the texture when it kind of starts warming up in your mouth. You get that
Yeah.
little fat, that mouthfeel of the fat kind of in the cheese. The sauce is on
Things like that. Like,
the,
what the hell is that?
the
This is where
sauce.
your head is at first thing in the morning. You're unbelievable, man.
The sauce,
Yeah.
the sauce is on point. It has that nice little what do they call it? The sauce has a little bite, a little snap. It's not sweet. And
Yeah.
really good tomato flavor. And I saw one of the comments on the Portnoy thing on YouTube was saying they don't use San Marzano tomatoes. Like
Okay.
San Marzanos are this Italian, like it's become like for some reason everybody thinks they're the best tomatoes. They've gotten
Yeah.
overproduced, and half the ones that are San Marzano are not really the really true San Marzano ones. He uses a product from California at Pizza Spot that happens to be really good tomatoes, and they have really good flavor, good tomato, just that overall richness. So the sauce is good, and then the dough has good chew, and it's got that little char at the edge there that people call this burnt, but this is when you
Yeah.
get a well
No,
done pie
I
there.
like that if it's done right.
Which is the way that Portnoy, if you like a freaking thing that is well done and is stiff and holds
You're
up,
upset about this Portnoy thing, man. I mean, I think it's because he didn't recognize that it was you that was doing a radio show. I mean, had it been Hank Goldberg or some other fabled South Florida radio announcer, maybe they would have said something about it. But,
I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody, Defo.
No, all right.
No.
So while you're stuffing your face here, we only have a couple of minutes left. Were you?
Let's get into.
I thought I heard you say, you were going to mention something about this Megan Imbert interview that we had. Is that true? Okay. What did you think? Yeah,
I watched it back, and what she's saying. It's very obviously. Now that I have a daughter who's 16, who's going to be embarking in the real world and trying to get into the workforce, and this is the nightmare of where you want women to be treated as equals and coworkers and not just seen as sexual objects or just degraded and harassed. But again, that culture of football, you're dealing with both players and executives who have been around this, what she called a frat house. It's a frat house culture. And it's very sad.
It's worse than that. I mean, it's disgusting. Yeah.
Let me finish. She obviously, she's right. There needs to be major reforms. And I think teams are making the steps where they are having HR departments and having ways to report, behavior that's either, harassment or beyond criminal. So there are steps being taken. But I also, I have to wonder about, why do teams have cheerleaders to begin with? And look, cheerleading in high school, my daughter is a cheerleader for the high school football team, but they're wearing, skirt, they're wearing outfits that aren't, revealing. And there's also male cheerleaders. There's boys who are cheerleading. On NFL teams, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, all this, they've basically been created as, sexual objects and just, and so you can't turn around. I know that Megan wasn't a cheerleader. She was a video producer. Yeah. But all these women, I mean, they're getting into something that inherently is, the way that the whole thing has been created is they're there as sexual objects. So then you can't be surprised when they get treated as like sexual objects.
You know what? I don't know that that's necessarily. I mean, obviously, you can see that aspect of it, but they're kind of, presented as ambassadors for the team.
Come on,
in many
so
cases.
why do they exist? The New York Football Giants have never had cheerleaders, and I grew up rooting for them or watching their games. I didn't miss that. I don't need an ambassador for the team. Let Frank Gifford be the ambassador.
I'm just saying, in terms of
Giants.
some of their community affairs and things like that, they really are used in this capacity. And for a lot of these girls, it's like you'll talk to people that were Hooters girls, right? And they're obviously outfitted to be, perceived to be some kind of sexual object. But at the same time, many of them, like a lot of people, like waiters or whatever, have aspirations in other areas, and they use this cheerleading platform as a means to maybe to get further, or more quickly into the career that they wanted to pursue.
I don't want to blame the victims, but if you get a job as a Hooters girl, you can't go around being surprised that people are going to be staring at your breasts. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast.
But the problem wasn't and I get that. Look, and that's my problem. Women are dressing half naked, and they're like, "Why are you looking at me?" Well, you're dressing half naked. But there's a difference between looking at them in a way, buying the calendars, and then keeping the camera rolling to video them changing clothes to then put a soft video with music.
And the other distinction that you need to make is that, Megan was saying was that this went on, whether it was her in a non-cheerleading capacity or any other woman that was working inside the organization was subjected to this kind of abhorrent behavior by men.
And that's something that needs to be addressed. And I don't get, not to blame, just the victims, I also, the owners, I don't get why a guy like Daniel Snyder and Rich Dalrymple, the Cowboys executive who's been accused of being a peeping Tom and filming these inappropriate things. Like, why do they do these stupid and possibly criminal things when you have this thing called the internet, and all you got to do is go to Google and type in cheerleader porn, and then you get it all without having to do anything, with your coworkers, and it's all right there. And 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 I guess it's really a power trip, and I guess it comes to that
crazy.
because they're
No,
controlling
insane.
people in power, and this needs to be addressed. And so more power to the Megans of the world stepping up. But also but then you get that. Is it overly sensitive? Like she mentioned how she took offense to being called Shakira by one of the male executives. And, it's one of those things where if you don't right at the time, just say, hey, you know what? I don't find that funny. Please don't do that again. Instead, if you just laugh it off, then it's kind of seen as, okay, it's just a joke and I'll keep doing that, or that it gives license for that behavior to continue. So I would really behoove people, if you get offended by anything, to step up and just say it right off the bat as a human being and just say, you know what? I don't find that funny. And you know
Listen,
what,
Mayo,
Defo?
fuck off. Exactly.
Defo, please don't compare me to Butterbean anymore. I really take offense to that.
Oh, I'm allowed to do that?
All right. Well, hopefully your numbers will come out right. Ours are up for today's show. Michael, a pleasure. We'll catch you. Well, you had 2 slices of pizza for breakfast, which is not necessarily commensurate with the Weight Watchers considerations that you're supposed to be operating.
You can call me Butterbean. You can call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner, especially.
All right, we have to run. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, thanks for being with us. We'll catch you later on the Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. He's going to be at a local place in Fort Lauderdale if you're in town. A Cut Above, which is on Cordova and right around the 17th Street area there. Great spot in Fort Lauderdale. Mike Lubitz, great job this week. People, thanks so much for tuning in. And Jack Namer, Amy, and all the good people there at Ion Channel, we continue to just grow and come up with new ideas. So lots of good things happening there, and looking forward to many more here in 2022.
Thank you, the one and only Albert Castilla, for our new intro track. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Very nice, man. Customized by Albert, and he got it to you, which is even more amazing. He's on the road on a dynamite tour with one of my favorites, and, of course, a great friend of his. They call it the Blood Brothers Tour. With a guy named Mike Zito, and they're touring a lot of different cities in the next few weeks. And he was opening in Macon, Georgia, for Tab Benoit at a classic theater there. So doing a lot of big things. Albert Castillo's career certainly, if it wasn't already on track for stardom, it certainly has been ratcheted up several notches here of late with some of the great things he's doing. And up for Blues Rock Performer of the Year.
I know, that's amazing.
With the Blues Music Awards that take place in Memphis. So we're rooting for him in that spot, too. Up against some tough competition, including one of my favorites there, the great Tommy Castro out of Oakland, California. All right, we'll see you guys on Monday. Thanks so much, John Kajemi. Great job. The professor with us today. Jersey Kyle has vowed to return via video and audio next Friday.
Nice.
After his battles with COVID-19 and all of the different shenanigans that he's been involved in, and he's actually going to buy a laptop and be a reasonable part of the show from next Friday into the distant future. So we'll see you Monday at 7 a.m. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Really appreciate it. See you next time as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's 9:31.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.